Everybody, hello. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. How are you? Did you have a nice lunch? Yes? We have a full house. I bet, or I suspect, you're not here to see me. I know what you're here of. You're here because we have an incredible panel, despite being the siesta time. Again, as I said yesterday, we don't do siesta in Spain. We work hard, so we can party hard as well. We're going to be with you in just 15 seconds. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Hey, yes, we are ready for you now. Nobody's missing? Full house, as I said. Well, you're in the right place. Thank you for coming. Let me tell you that according to the World Travel Tourism Council, the global travel tourism sector is growing at an incredible fast rate, accounting to $7 trillion, and is expecting to grow more. Information technology has opened a vast array of possibilities for this industry. And when we talk about possibilities in this sector, we have an expert with us. As you all know, a former Olympic sportsman. He is now leading a revolution in the tourism sector. His roommate hotels will be opening 11 new hotels within the next coming 12 months. His B-made hotels are a total disruptive idea based on a unique apartment service by a hotel. He doesn't accept the word no within his business. He invites his clients to make love and not just have a quickie. He doesn't, or he hates actually the words success or failure. He just reminds us to get up again and keep fighting. His motto is smile and enjoy. And he does love, he actually does have a lovely smile. Well, he just doesn't want a piece of cake. He wants it all, and he's out there to get it. He's just been awarded the Medal for Tourist Merit in Innovation, which is something I know is very dear to him. Please, everybody, welcome Quique Sarasola.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to tell my co-workers in the round table to come on up. Hello, guys, come on up, and let's take our places. Normally, I'm on this side of the table, so today it's my first time, so I'm a little bit nervous. But now, while my friends sit down, let me tell you a little bit about what I think about tourism. Tourism is our first industry in this country. It's 12% of our GDP. It has been the motor to recuperation for our economy. And who is going to give employment in this country? We are, the entrepreneurs, the people who start businesses, who hire people. So tourism is something we really have to push. We have to smile at everybody. We have to learn English. What's happening with this English in my country? We don't speak enough English. Please, guys, make your children learn English. Let's start talking, all of us, in English. To my daughter, I put the cartoons in English so that she can start hearing English since the beginning. So I think it's very important that we think. Tourism right now has changed. In the last 10, 15 years, tourism has changed completely from being something very offline with the agencies to be something completely technological. Right now we have huge monsters like Bookings or Amadeus, or we have eDreams, we have Trivago. We have these fantastic companies which we have all bought tickets, reserved airplanes, hotels online. So it is really changing, and it has been, I think, the most disruptive in any sector has been the technological in the hotel and tourism industry, in mine especially. So right now, we're here with 5 fantastic entrepreneurs, 5 fantastic companies that let's talk to them a little bit. And first of all, let's talk with Antonio Lopez. Before let's have them introduce themselves for 1 minute, saying what they are, what they do, what they like, and everything else. You.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Antonio Lopez de Avila. I'm the president of Segitur, which is a state company focused on innovation and new technologies on tourism.
Hello.
Let's turn on. Let's look and see. Talk, darling.
Talk.
Hello.
Hello.
All right. My name is Natalie Bache. I'm the director of brand.
No, it's not working. Shall we have talk louder, darling? Que me den un micrófono.
All right. Okay.
Great.
We'll try to put it in the middle. My name is Natalie. I'm the director of brand for Trip for Real. Trip for Real is an online marketplace of one-of-a-kind travel experiences. We're Barcelona-based, but we're all over Europe now.
I'm Michael Bale. Buenos dias. It's the only Spanish I know. I'm 10 months new from the US, working for Amadeus, which is about 500 meters just across the highway here. And I look after mobile. We are at the epicenter of the travel industry, working with travel agents, hotels, airlines, and airports alike.
And it's a Spanish company.
Spanish company,
Well done.
publicly traded on the Spanish Stock Exchange. Thank
Good.
you.
Hello, I'm Juan Garcia, country manager for Cabify for Spain. In case you don't know Cabify, we operate a mobile app that by just tapping one click, a private chauffeur will pick you up in less than 10 minutes in your home, drive you wherever you want to go, and charge you in a credit card, and you will receive a receipt on your email, as simple as that.
And hello, my name is Javier Gándara. I'm country director for EasyJet. So EasyJet is a low-cost company. Actually, this year is our 20th anniversary. And for the last 20 years, we've been trying to make air travel easier and affordable. And of course, technology played a key part on that. Actually, we were the first airline that started selling tickets in the internet, almost 20 years ago.
Fantastic. We're going to start with Antonio Lopez, who's the CEO of Segitur, like he just said. And coincidence enough, Segitur is one of the most leading and well-organized public organizations in the Spanish government that gives money to the young entrepreneurs. And coincidence enough, 4 of us that are here on the panel today have received money from this public company. So really, I applaud it because it is something fantastic that money is coming into the market, and they're doing much more to start with the young entrepreneurs. Antonio, tell us, from your side of perspective, now that you're in the public side and seeing so many startups, how do you see the Spanish startup market in tourism?
Well, our tourism market, as you have said before, it's very important. It's one of the most important tourism markets in the world. And we are now converting Spain in the best living lab for tourism technologies. Now we are supporting in Spain this new initiative called Smart Destinations. We are leading in the world. We are doing the, as we want to call it, learning by doing. We are learning as well with not only the public side, but the private side. We are learning with the private companies. We are learning with, and thanks to the entrepreneurs. And I have a short video just to show you what Smart Destination is and what Smart Destination means for technology and tourism.
Perfect. Let's put the video.
My last holiday started in front of my computer screen. And Jorge shared with me. Maria told me where to eat, and Jorge shared with me the places he thought I shouldn't miss. And then I started packing. I planned my trip in detail, and then I started packing. When I got to my destination, I was still connected, and I could fit the whole tourist offer in my pocket. In the shops, I found a mixture of local people and tourists like me. Antonio, a really friendly shopkeeper, told me that visits like mine help improve the economy and preserve the local traditions. I really enjoyed the food, traditional but with an innovative touch I loved. Manuel, the chef, told me everything they served in the restaurant was produced locally, and when searching for experiences, I came across some I'd never seen before in similar destinations, and I could take the best route to get wherever I wanted. Other tourists got to the same places just as easily and enjoyed everything just as I did. I was surprised to see that the destination interacted with tourists and locals alike and adapted to the needs of both. Didn't I tell you where I spent my holiday? I went to a smart tourist destination.
It's easy. I'm a professor too, so I'm used to talk for hours. But I think this video in 1.5 minutes can explain better than ever what a smart destination is. We're talking about new experiences. We're talking about new people, new profiles of tourists that use technology in a very different way, with the smartphones, through the computers at home, smartphones and tablets during the stay. So they are using technology to get a better experience, to get a very more authentic experience in the destination. So we have to give them what they need, and we need the private sector, we need the entrepreneurs, we need the companies to develop this innovation, so the tourists, when they come to Spain, they can enjoy this new experience.
And have you seen that in Spain in the last years are young and there's new ideas, it's coming out more every time? Do you feel that more requests for funding is coming?
Absolutely. We started with the Emprendetour initiative 4 years ago. We have financed almost 50 million euros in 4 years. At the beginning, we started with just a few projects. In the last edition of Emprendetour, we had more than 100 initiatives. So it has been amazing how all the different companies and entrepreneurs have started to come to us to tell what they want to do and to sell the idea, and we have been supporting them.
I can vouch for that. It has been very easy project, a lot of paperwork, but not as much as before. And I have to say, they are very quick, and it's congratulations. Now let's speak to Natalie. Natalie, you guys have become in Trip for Real. It's a fantastic success story. It's become one of the main platforms for peer-to-peer activities. Tell us something. Do you feel, how do you feel that the community can benefit from these platforms?
Sure. I think that with Trip for Real, when you think about this idea of supporting local economies and really changing and disrupting tourism ecosystems, what we're the most proud of is the fact that local residents, now in over 9 cities and growing, are really able to take part of what once was a very traditional sector. So both professionals, amateurs, and people that are passionate about a particular subject can become locals. And locals is the word that we use for a local guide. It's a peer-to-peer way that people that love their city can show their city with travelers from around the world. And what we're doing with this is not only are people able to make an extra income or extra money, but it's also bringing tourist dollars away from the tourist traps and from the most visited places in the city, and a little bit off the beaten path to neighborhoods that might not see as many tourists in the past. So we're really proud of how that's changing the system.
I think that's very interesting. Explain a little bit more exactly, for example, if a young entrepreneur in the city wants to get into your platform, how can they make money, or how can they do something that they like and also attain some benefit?
Sure. So one of my favorite stories is actually in Paris. We have a young girl who's a baker who hadn't been able to find a job as a pastry chef. She was looking and looking, and she ended up taking a 9-to-5 and working for a different company. And with Trip for Real, she's actually able to do what she loves, which is bake and show travelers the most authentic places in Paris for pastries. So she's able, as a young entrepreneur, to join the platform and to charge for her tour. She decides her price, and she can control the way that she does host on her free time.
I think that is absolutely fantastic. Now, let's speak to, wait a minute, let me get my papers right. I'm sorry. Let's speak to Juan Ignacio of Cabify. Tell me something. You guys are your sector is a complete sector that's innovating all the time. There's a lot of negativity now with other cars. Explain to us exactly why Cabify is having so much success and why you guys are not having the problems that other car services are having.
Well, our focus has been from the very beginning to try to find innovation while fitting on the existing regulation, on the existing market, and trying to solve a pain that was there since a long time ago, but trying to fit in the community as it is. So that's why we have a platform that allows you to move in the city painlessly and easily, based on technology. Without the technology, we couldn't have been doing this. but we've also established a conversation, a dialogue with the regulatory authorities in the transportation segment in each of the countries where we operate. And that's been very important to enter in the establishment from the very beginning to be able to scale the business easily and without friction.
You're in how many countries by now?
We've just opened in Colombia, so it's 5 countries now: Spain, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Colombia.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now let's talk to Michael. Michael, I want you guys to speak a little bit louder. We need that Spanish flair so that the people at the end of the living room can hear us. Mike, can everybody hear? More or less? Okay, let's have our panel talk louder. Michael, tell me something. Amadeus, a Spanish company, worldwide, a big success. Tell us a little bit about the story, how it happened, how you guys grew. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, so its origins are in the late 80s. It's almost like a bad joke. A Spanish, German, a Swede, and a French walked into a room and said, hey, look what America's doing. There's a competitor out there called Sabre that has created an ecosystem to make it easier among airlines to purchase travel. Here in Europe, let's find something that allows us to compete. And that was the history. They each were part of the original shareholders. Long since then, we went public, we went private, and then as of 3 or 4 years ago, we are public again. And to give a perspective, we're in 195 countries. We handle some 700 million passengers that board different airlines. We work with some 200 airports, and we see about 3 billion searches monthly in terms of people looking to travel. So very large scale.
Which are the technological benefits of Amadeus compared to your other competitors, for example?
I think we have the largest scale. We have European data centers, which obviously, as of yesterday, carry some relevance in the industry. We have focus on multiple parts of the industry, not just travel agents and airlines, but inclusive of airports and hotels as well.
Perfect. And talk to us something that we all are very interested in. Big data, big data. Everybody's talking about big data. Tell us what Amadeus is doing with that
certainly.
sector.
I mean, with the 1.4 billion daily data elements that we see, examples that are interesting are, look at Valentine's Day. So we see searches up to Valentine's Day. Rightfully and perhaps as we would guess, Paris is number 1, about 5% of the global searches. What caught me by surprise was Las Vegas was number 3. So perhaps some of these relationships want to become marriages or divorces. We after they have Barcelona as number 5. So you really see interesting things that are trending. I think another example that will have a lot of empathy here in this room is the World Cup last year. So World Cup last year saw 6 times as many searches from Europe looking to travel to Brazil from the year before. From the United States, 13 times. So you have a heightened interest in football/soccer in America. But when it actually looked to bookings, the individuals that came from UK, 3 times more than the year before booked. Germany, 2 times as much. France, about 1.5 times as much. And perhaps this is an indicator of what happened to Spain, only 10% more bookings from Spain. Wow. So there wasn't as much people following Spain that actually went to Brazil compared to Germany, UK, and elsewhere.
Fantastic. We'll get back to that later because I think the big data is something that we're all very interested. Let's speak to Javier from EasyJet. Javier, tell us a little bit. You guys grew, you were are a success story. You're expanding. Tell us a little bit where you are, what your expansion plans are.
Well, I mean, we were really, a disruptor 20 years ago when we, were born. And then at that time, we had a vision around making air travel easy and affordable. If we look at technology in the aviation sector, actually, it looks like everything is about the aircraft. But if you really see the aircraft 20 years ago and the aircraft now, they are more or less the same, an aluminum tube, with wings and engines, and that's it. So actually, the way we see ourselves is really not as an airline, more as an e-commerce company that happen to fly airlines, in order to do that.
Because you have hotels as well, and you have many other things.
So technology, play a key part on that, and it's part of our DNA. And then we never agree on some, people, competing with us, saying that actually low fares is equal to low service. We always believe that actually you could combine both and have low fares, make air transport affordable, and actually, let's face it, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, the first time I flew, it was really a luxury, and nowadays it's really something that is available to almost everyone. And that's a change, that we have be a key part of it, and we are really proud of.
You're an affordable luxury. That's my favorite word. Use
like it.
That's what I am, affordable luxury. And tell me, give us a guess. How do you think flights will be in the future?
That's good because I'm an aeronautical engineer. Nobody's perfect. So 20 years ago, when I was finishing my studies, then there were all kind of fancy, designs of how airplanes would be. Actually, yesterday we heard, very interesting thing with Hyperloop in terms of trains and so on. So actually, we are working on that. So we are working with Cranfield University and some, university guys to really try to get this design. But in any case, what we'll know is that air transport going forward will keep being easier and will keep being more affordable, and that's what we are into. And pretty much, it's not so much around the aircraft technology, it's around all the technology that is behind, especially having the consumer in mind. We are in an industry that was always very much technology focused in terms of aircraft, and now, hopefully, we are in an industry that is really consumer focused.
Tell us, your company, which is always innovative, and for me it's a reference, what other things are you looking at to do? Because you've gone into hotels, you have airplanes, and you have, is anything else in your portfolio?
We are looking, at a lot because, we really, even though we are 20 years old this year, we don't want to lose this innovative, spirit. So, things such as using 3D printing, for example, for replacing very easy, parts like an armrest, and actually you can then just turn the aircraft around and not having to wait for an engineer, so on and so forth. We are already testing the use of drones for doing inspection when you have a lightning strike, which is something that happens, quite frequently. We already, are doing things to make our app being easier. And then, let's face it, many of us fly frequently, but most of the people really fly perhaps once a year, twice a year. So then when they go to the airport, it's really something they don't know. So we are testing with Gatwick Airport, for example, a mobile host that actually is telling you every single time where you need to go in the airport, where is your boarding gate, where you need to go. So it's all, a whole range of initiatives, always having that in mind. Either it should make travel easier or make it affordable, or both.
Okay, thank you. Antonio, tell us more about the Spanish sector of innovation. Do you think we are a very big industry and we have to get our young entrepreneurs really going? What advice would you give them really to nowadays to start would you tell them to go into the hotel sector, the technological experiences? What would you give them give them an advice?
It's complicated. It's because tourism, it's a very cross-action sector. So we can act on very different sectors. We can act on hotels and destinations, on experiences, on how people feel when they come to Spain. So you have a huge number of opportunities to develop. For us, we advise them to develop something that it would be great for them. As you always say that you create room-make hotels because you want to do a hotel like you always been to. We say the same, as Trip for Real is the same. You just have to design a company or a service or a product that you would like to buy if you go to other country. And if you use technology to do it, if you are innovative in the proposal, then you are adding something very high value to the sector, to the whole sector in Spain. In fact, 3 weeks ago, I was in Israel. And when we hear Israel, we think about, wow, so entrepreneurial country. And they ask me to come to Spain, to help them to come to Spain because they think Spain is the perfect place to develop their projects, their services, their companies. And here we understand what the tourism sector is. So we are giving money to this kind of projects. In Israel, it seems that it's not that easy, at least for tourism.
Wow.
So it's
because many times I think, and many people come to me and say, I want to do this or I want to invent that, but they say, but I'm scared because there's so many in the market. And I say, are you giving extra value? Are you doing something different? No, I think Emprenditur, you really are looking at somebody who gives a twist of the edge. No,
we give that advice. We have here my team is already there. Say hello. That's my team. And they advise companies. We see so many people at the end of the day that we can now have a huge vision of what's going on there. So we know who's doing what, and we can even put them in contact so they can create something better. And we give them advice on how we see the scenario, and they have changed sometimes the ideas. They have made some change so they can be more prepared for the market. We, in fact, put them in contact with, if they are developing something for hotels, we put them in contact with hoteliers so they can check the service or the products. So we are helping people to do things in a better way.
That's very interesting. I think we should all help all the young entrepreneurs and the new ideas. We, from Roommate side, we always try to help as well. Natalie, question that I love to ask all the entrepreneurs. Okay, when you have a good idea and you're in your own country or in your own city, and then many times they ask me the horrible question, which I'm not going to ask you because I refuse, but they put it for me to ask you, is they ask me, when did you go international, for example? No, I think that's a horrible question and it should never be asked to anybody who's a real entrepreneur. If he doesn't think global since the beginning, I mean, he's really just getting a little bit of the cake. I would like to eat all the cake. So I started in my company, international. I say I went international since the moment I left Spain. But there's always a problem. How do you do it? In your company, Trip for Real, when you guys, because it's a fantastic, brilliant idea, how did you manage to solve the problems of going international? Since the beginning, how did you do that?
Sure. So this January, actually, we launched officially in different markets. Our first new market was London, Paris, and Rome. And now we're in Lisbon, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, and most recently, Berlin. It wasn't ever a question of were we going to go international? It was just a question of time. I mean, being from Barcelona is really an exceptional place, I think, to be a young entrepreneur and to grow your company. But right now, we're focused absolutely on building the brand and taking it on a global stage. When you're a travel company, it's not a question of can you go global? You have to go global. And the way that we're doing that is kind of a two-pronged approach. We realize that there's a lot of cultural sensitivities on the ground when we launch a new market, so we work with local ambassadors. These ambassadors help us in a number of different ways. They help us find new recruits, so they help us find the most creative budding entrepreneurs to become locals for Trip for Real. They also help us with word-of-mouth marketing to create a little bit of buzz and to tell their friends about what we're doing. So as we continue to grow, we really do rely a lot on our locals, not only because they're, the product and they're the ones that make up, they're the stars of Trip for Real, but also because they help us when they live the passion that we live every day. They're the ones that really help get the word out there.
Fantastic. Guys, I recommend Trip for Real, really. Listen, Michael, one quick question before we start going into the thing. How is it that Amadeus went into Cabify? I love the story of you guys investing in a company so different from yours, and it really helps. Listen, I'm in hotels. Would you like to invest in me?
She's right there, Susanna, a colleague of mine for Amadeus Ventures.
Okay.
So if you look at the last 5 years, you look at Uber, you look at Move It, you look at Waze, you look at Hotel Tonight, and you look at Cabify. What's in common? Well, one, they're only mobile. Two, they were only here as of 3 or 5 years ago. They're brand new. Three, they're disrupting the market. Why? Because these are companies looking at the traditional supply and demand curve, and they're realizing consumers are demanding alternative supply. So Waze was built because people were tired of congested roads and wanted alternative routes that was crowdsourced. Hotel Tonight wanted to be able to have a mechanism for last-minute distressed hotel inventory. So Cabify and Uber similarly saw, hey, there are challenges in municipalities that are only using taxis. I think Cabify's strengths, and I'm sure you can answer this yourselves, are working very closely with municipalities, cities, with the taxis, as well as the black cars and private drivers. So our astute colleagues at Amadeus Ventures saw this trend and said, hey, we'd like to take a part of this, an equity investment, to learn side by side, particularly in markets that are both European and Latin America, what are cultural differences, what are consumer differences, and how can we benefit with this knowledge to adapt to our core strengths as Amadeus by kind of sitting vicariously as investors.
Fantastic. If you guys, let's start a quick round. Give me to summarize what we have. We are Spain. Second, first motor of the economy is tourism. Why, a quick reflection from your perspective, why is it that in Spain, apart from Amadeus and a few other big companies, why do we not have a leading technology in tourism sector?
Shall I begin? Okay.
Loud.
Maybe we are not a reference now, but I'm pretty sure we will be in 10 years because there are a lot of interesting projects in the tourism sector as well as in others. Why we are not now? I would probably link it to the whole economy. I mean, we're not a referent in technology in any kind of vertical. So tourism, even if it's a very important part of our GDP, it's not an exception of that. I think we've started, that whole technology hype and thing is very new here in Spain. We're doing a lot of good progress in the last 5 years, and I'm pretty sure that given that tourism is our key strength probably, in 10 years we will have top companies in the area.
Javier, what do you think?
Well, I have a theory because Spain has been always big in tourism, but pretty much as a destination. So I think we really lived out of it, for a long, long time, and we thought, it was for the origins to really choose, so we just trust on the sand and beach model for too long. But I think right now things are changing. I really like, the initiative around the smart destination, which is a destination can do much more to really be attractive than just, having nice beaches, nice hotels, and so on. So in that, technology is playing a part. So my hope is that actually, this is changing, but we've been living, out of, the good destination and the good, things that sand and beach was giving us, and there was not enough efforts.
Perfect. Antonio, quick.
I agree with them because, as I told you, things has been changing a lot, very rapidly in these 4 years. And in fact, Amadeus and Segitur are now developing the first initiative worldwide in multi-destination, multimodality tickets. So we are leading that technology in the world.
Good.
So I think Spain has changed a lot, and it's going to change more.
Good. Natalie, what do you think?
I think it's all about changing perceptions a little bit as well. I think talking about this sun and drinking culture that a lot of people have associated Spain with a long time, you have to open it up and really offer more experiences. And the tourist is very smart. We always say at Trip for Real, we're travelers, not tourists, because the traveler wants to go one step beyond.
Correct.
And they want to discover more. And I think that in Spain, I can say this because I'm an American Spanish, I come from both cultures, and I think that there's so much to offer, and it's really about opening those doors to more travelers and marketing ourselves as more than just a destination to, go get a nice tan. And I think that everyone on this stage is aware of that, and I think that all of you are too. So I think it's a lot about the image that we project on the global scale.
Michael?
Maybe I'm the newbie, but I don't necessarily see this. In August in Madrid, yeah, sure. But if you go anywhere else, Ibiza, Mallorca, any of the San Sebastian north, it's very well populated. I think they've marketed themselves incredibly nicely. And you talk to colleagues at Airbnb and even the folks who run couch surfing, full saturation. It's impossible to find a hotel room or a couch. So I think that some parts of Spain have done very well. Others can improve for sure.
Okay. Listen, thank you for the panel. Before we leave, we have 6 minutes of questions. So guys, take advantage of our fantastic panel. Raise your hands. Whoever wants to do a question, we have one at the end.
Well, bearing in mind that this is a full house, we can even have 10 minutes of questions.
Okay,
so
perfect.
Take advantage.
Wonderful. Take
Go
advantage.
ahead.
We have one at the very end.
We only have one microphone, though. So.
Okay. Guys, think about some interesting questions. You're going to rarely have this panel. I'm like a juggler.
Hello?
Okay. Hello.
Hi. This is a question in particular for Natalie and Juan Ignacio. Could you elaborate a bit more on how do you find your ambassadors in the new countries, and what incentives do you offer? How do you do that?
That's a really good question. We look for ambassadors everywhere. We have, of course, there's so much that we have to do online and social media forums and building the brand and making sure that, our voice is everywhere so that people are interested in Trip for Real. We do have a product acquisition team who's responsible for the majority of recruitment, both for new local guides and for ambassadors. When it comes to incentive, it's a varied approach. We absolutely put our ambassadors on our experiences. So if you like photography or you like art or you like food, then there's tons of perks because there's your social calendar. You can go do a Trip for Real, meet new people, take pictures. It's also really great for aspiring writers and for photographers because we will give you photo credit if we publish your work, and you can be published on the blog as well and in press. So there's a lot of incentives for people that are creative that want to play a part.
Okay, next question.
Hi, thanks for the panel. It was really interesting. I've got a question for Segitur. Is there going to be an edition this year?
We have had, we've had 2, 3. You have Anna right behind, in front of you. We've had I think 3, 4 editions this year, but I think we have no time. We are running out of time to make a new one for this year. But next year we will have a new one, of course.
Okay.
With more money.
Hopefully.
Hello. Hi. Well, I want to congratulate Natalie. I love Trip for Real. I think it's a great idea to travel and know the places with the locals. And congrats to everyone. It was very interesting for Traseco. But my question is for Juan Antonio. Which are the next steps in Segitur about the smart cities?
Well, we just published the norm, the first norm on smart destinations worldwide. We are proving it now. And the next steps is convince destinations to improve this norm. And using the funds from the European Commission, I think it's going to be easy because the funds from the European Union deals on innovation and technologies. And when we talk about smart destination, we talk about innovation and new technologies. So I think next year will be a very different year to start. And the next 4 years until 2020, we will see not a few smart destinations in Spain, but Spain as a huge smart destination. And that opens a huge number of opportunities for private sector and public sector to develop things and to create Spanish technology to export worldwide. That's
Okay.
our aim.
Thank you. One more question on that side. Anybody else?
I have a very specific and personal question. I have been father 2 months ago, and I want to know how do the travel tech is going to help me in the future? You know, the families, the kids. Do you know any project about this?
Let me tell you, last year I went to the Dublin Web Summit in Dublin. You know, it's the biggest one in the world. And there was a huge sector only about infants, education, flying with children, how you take care of them. And I think it's that one, education. And medical, everything to do with the medical side is going to have a huge upcome and in the future. I think right now there's not so many things, but there's many things here. Actually, there was 5 stands of education and things for children. Guys, one more question, the last one. Anybody else? Here there's a question, I think. This young lady.
Hi. Hello. Hi. So, okay, this may be a stupid suggestion, I don't know, but do you see for Cabify, for example, a future? Okay. Sorry. So, do you see for Cabify, for example, a future in perhaps partnering up with like companies like Amadeus, for example?
No,
like
they are already. They are.
They are already. Oh, you are already. Okay,
they
sorry.
invested.
I was not informed about
The next one they're going to invest is in me.
Okay, so basically, on Amadeus, you can order a cab, yes?
Of course,
Like-
always. An entrepreneur has always have to be fishing for
It's
money.
a fair question. So we were a financial investor historically, and to your point, more poignantly, we're now working on an implementation to get their content into our global distribution system. So we're working on both lenses.
Okay.
I think it makes perfect sense for apps to partner up because if a customer likes something, then he will order whatever you find in that app. If you want to order a flight and a car and a hotel at the same place that you like, then that's perfect value for the customer. And
So you're going to open it to your user base too?
Yeah. Yeah. At the same time, I think that Cabify and Trip for Real, they can even develop joint products, so they can give an experience to someone that visits the city and using Cabify to move around.
Flies
the city.
EasyJet, stays in roommate.
So we can. That's what we do. That's
Good
what
luck,
we
good luck.
That's what we do in Spain. In Spain.info, we are helping entrepreneurs and companies to create these synergies between them so they can create very added value products to tourists and they can buy directly through the web. So that's it.
And just to add to that, actually, is, you know, I think when you're a startup and you're in this kind of humble phase of development, it's so important to be open-minded to any sort of venture, to any sort of collaboration. And I would welcome you, because I'm sure there's so many creatives and business minds here in this room. If you have any ideas for Trip for Real for any of us, I think it's great to just kind of pop us a line and let us know what you think, because we're open to feedback and we want to grow.
Absolutely. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, my panel. It's been a fun time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Big round of applause for this fantastic panel. We're going to have a family picture.
A family picture?
Family picture, thank you. Thank you. I know a lot of you would like to speak to them. We have another fantastic talk afterwards, so
Más.
please just
Juntitos.
bear with us. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Guys, we're going to need your microphones. Well done, thank you. If you go out that way if you can, we're going to need your microphones. Thank you so much.
Sí, señor. Cuando empezaste a hablar, te reconocí.
Ponedlo solo aquí para que... Solo para que, ¿sabes? O sea, ponedlo un poquito adelante, habla y luego vamos a necesitar sillas.
No,
¿Okay?
eso lo vemos en un momento, no te preocupes.
¿Sí? Bueno. No, ay, gracias.
Pero dejamos las sillas.
Claro, deja las sillas, echa el panel para adelante para que hable él y luego, ¿entiendes?
¿Cuántos son luego? ¿Cuántos
Luego son 6 o 7, no me acuerdo. No me acuerdo. Juan, soy Elena, nos vemos de nuevo. Voy a presentarte ahora y entras en un momento, que cuando liberemos esto, entras por el otro lado mejor, ¿vale? Soy el MC del escenario, ¿recuerdas? Ah, ya, pero digo, como habrás visto a tanta gente, no te acordarás. Probablemente soy la más pesada. Lo tomaré como un cumplido, aunque muchas veces no lo es. Gracias, Juan. Entonces voy a intentar limpiar el escenario y ahora te anuncio y sales, ¿vale? Y te dejamos en el atril 10 minutos y luego ya abrimos mesa con sillas. ¿Te parece? Sí. Sí, yo te aviso. Hay un reloj, mira. Sí. Mira, si vienes conmigo te enseño. Si vienes conmigo te enseño. Te esperas aquí cuando te anuncie Juan Garrigosa, sales. Tienes un reloj allí, te vamos a adelantar un poco la atril para que veas desde allí y luego ya te quedas y vemos la atril y te vas a la silla. Sí, vale, pero bueno. Sales, abres y luego ya anunciaremos el siguiente panel, que si quieres cuando termines vuelves a salir y vuelves a entrar con el panel, ¿vale? Guay. Si estás conmigo en menos de 5 minutos entramos. Quédate por aquí, Juan. Madre mía, va a ser esto la locura. A ver. A ver. Necesitamos que esto se libere. Necesitamos que esto se libere. Necesitamos que esto se libere. Quique, te tengo que echar porque si no aquí no empiezo el siguiente. Échate a todos los fans para allá. Para allá al final, para allá al final. Bueno, Quique. Es del equipo de... Oye, Quique. Cuando hables de los emprendedores, diles siempre ABC. Always be closing.
Always be closing.
That's what we do.
Perfecto, me encanta. Oye, tú tienes
Estoy en
tarjeta
contacto.
mía, ¿no?
Yo ya te tengo aquí
Perfecto.
registrado. Estoy en
Oye,
contacto. Yo
me ha
conozco,
encantado.
estoy con
Se han
Yello.
divertido, ¿no? La
Sí,
gente.
muy divertido. Mira cómo estaba, más lleno.
Están todos.
Hablo con Yello para cualquier cosa.
Venga,
¿Sabes? La
perfecto.
reina de corazones para lo que quieras.
Me ha encantado, me ha encantado.
Necesitamos que limpiemos esto de gente. Voy a despedir de Yello. Hola, hello everybody. We are going to start the next talk. I need to clear up the stage a bit. I know this has been a very, very popular talk, but we are changing the subject. We're going to meet somebody very special as well. So whoever wants to stay with us, please join us. And whoever can't stay with us, please, I ask you to move away from stage. Otherwise, we can't start. We're going to start in 15 seconds. I ask your collaboration. Thank you. Those who want to stay, please move forward. You can sit closer to us. Move to the front. Those who cannot stay and wish to, please, I'll ask you to clear up the stage. Podemos salir un poquito de detrás del escenario, que si no, no podemos empezar la siguiente. Gracias. No es que os eche, pero necesito silencio. Gracias. Vamos a empezar la siguiente. We're going to start the next talk. Thank you very much. So, welcome again. Endesa, the largest electric utility company in Spain, has stepped up to the challenge of renewable sources of energy. How, you may ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. They have launched the Endesa Energy Challenge, which is an open innovation platform which seeks to transform the future of energy. We have a very special guest with us today. I would like to welcome the head of technology projects at Endesa, who will talk to us more in detail about this revolutionary initiative. Please, a very warm welcome for Juan Garrigosa.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here today. Well, first of all, my name is Juan Garrigosa, Head of Innovation of Endesa. Just a few words about Endesa. It's the largest utility in Spain. We are present in the whole energy chain with generation, distribution, and also in the retail segment with more than 11 million of clients. We belong to the Enel Group. We have presence in 32 countries in the world with more than 63 million of clients. And we are today presenting you the Endesa Energy Challenges because this is the first time that in the power sector, not only in the electric sector, but the power sector, that we are launching an initiative that is really open. Really open means that we are going to propose different challenges to the global community, asking help to resolve these challenges. I think it's much more better than instead of I present you all the information, we're going to see a video. Please. Video. Challenges, we are proposing you two challenges. The first of all is the hackathon. Probably all of you know what a hackathon is. We are thinking in a much more open approach than a classical hackathon. So we are not only looking for developers developing an application for mobiles. No, we are looking something much more than this, more open. We are looking for teams with different profiles, not only developers, but also business developers, but also technicians, but also marketing people. And we expect from you proposals so we can create new products, new services, or even new technologies that could improve our internal processes to offer a better service to the client. So we are completely open. Please come, participate, and present us your proposal. We are going to launch this the next week, October the 19th. We will open the web page, the hackathon, where you can register. And we are going to have an event at the end of November, the 27th and the 28th. It will be a big event where all of you that are willing to participate can come and can be working with Endesa employees, and when you can present all your different proposals that you can develop during these 2 days. So pay attention. If you want, you can go right now to the endesaenergychallenge.com. You can register, just only write in your email, so as we can advise you next week for you to register, to fill in your data in our web page. This is the first challenge, the hackathon. Second challenge is the datathon. What are we going to do in the datathon? We are first time in history, we don't have noticed that in the power sector any other utility has done this, is we are going to offer a very big part of our data, of the data of our customer, in a completely anonymous way. Very, very frightened about all the legal implications and regulatory implications. But our proposal for you is we are going to give you our data, completely open. It's a big database, gigabytes, with a lot of information, with a lot of course of our customers. And what we expect from you is to receive proposals. What can we do with these proposals? How can we translate this data and information and this information in knowledge? Because at the end, what we want to do is to propose new products or new services to our final customers, or how can we improve the service that we are doing to our customers. This is completely revolutionary because we are giving you the same information that we have. The calendar in this way is slightly different. We expect from you your appliances until the end of the year, until December 21st. In January, we will do a first selection on the first top 50. And with this top 50, we will be working with them during February, March, and April of 2016. We have a selection of the winner, and we have an awarding ceremony in June of the next year. We are going to arrange different meetups to work with you, with all of you that want to participate in the event, with Endesa employees, to work together with you, to clarify all your questions, all your doubts, completely open, giving you all the information that we have. Of course, fulfilling all the legal and regulatory requirements. This is mandatory for us. This is completely open. We are at your disposal. So please, all of you that want to participate with us, entrepreneurials, developers, business development, technician, whoever would be your profile, we are pretty sure that probably you can have any value proposition that could be of interest for us. So please participate. Very easy web page, Endesa Energy Challenges. And that's all. I don't know if you have any question or doubts. Simple to understand. Toby, a friend, asking a question.
Yeah, Juan, I was wondering, obviously we spoke quite a while ago when you were first setting up this project. Sort of Juan, we spoke a while ago when you were setting up this project, and I was wondering, over the last few years, sort of how's your thinking evolved in terms of what you want to do for startups?
Well, the idea that we have with this platform, with Endesa Energy Challenge, is that we want to propose to the global community different challenges. The first two are these, the hackathon and the datathon. Honestly, we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know if we are going a lot of application or we are going to have a lot of people applying or willing to participate in these two events. We don't know because it's the first time that someone organize something like this, so we don't know what is going to happen. Our proposal is keep launching challenges to the open community. We are going to starting with these two first, and crossing our fingers, and hoping to have a lot of participation and a lot of good proposals. So now what we are doing is working during this month and the next month, spreading the events, not only in Spain. We are thinking in Europe, America, also in Asia and Latin America, because we are looking for the best expert in big data, in developing application, or new ideas, new products, something that is working in some other markets. We don't know what is going to happen. We don't know.
Sounds great.
Help us to spread this event, please, in your network.
Just a clarification in the scope of the event. Is this something like what you have in Kaggle or other types of data mining events where you have some specific questions you want to answer? Or is this more open, like any business case that you want to develop and propose to you?
Yeah, in the hackathon we have two big challenges, but are quite open. The first would be how can we help to our customer to use our digital channels. We want to interact much more better with them, to offer them new apps, new ways of connecting with our final customers. First. Second, new products, new services, new technologies that can help us to offer a better service to our customers. In the Datathon, we are completely open. We are listening since a lot of time that big data is a big challenge, is a big opportunity. What happened with that is we, the employees of Endesa, still think about what can we do with all this data. We always reach to the same conclusions. And what we have realized is that we want to know different approach, different proposals coming from outside. What can we do with all this data? We're talking about gigabytes, a lot of information.
Global.
Well, we are looking for our Spanish market.
Okay.
This is the first experience that we are doing in the Enel Group, but we are present in 30 countries. We are the first utility as Enel, also in Italy, in Colombia, in Chile, in Brazil, in Peru, second in Brazil, also in Romania, in Slovakia. We are present in a lot of countries. So we are testing because we don't know what is going to happen and what will be the response of the community.
Questions? Guys, the good news is Juan Garrigosa is staying with us for the next panel.
Ah.
So we might, if there's any more questions, yeah? And then he's staying with us, okay? So he's not going to go anywhere. Small question there.
Sorry, just a quick one. Wondering what's the reward going to be for the winning, the reward? Is there a monetary compensation? What are you going to do?
Yes. We were thinking about the prices, what would be the rewards. No, finally, we are thinking something monetary. In the Datathon, we are talking something, but we have not decided yet. But something around 50,000 euros for the first, 10,000 euros for the second, and 5,000 euros for the third. This is something that we have to write in the basis, but our main desire is to launch the proposal. If probably the first 3, 4, 5 would be really, really good. And what we want to do is to launch this and to offer finally to our customer. We want to involve the winners in the final product or service or technology that we launch. But we cannot write this in the basis because we don't know what is going to happen. We don't know what would be the proposal, what the name or the quality or the issue. So that's the point. So we are willing to finally take the winners and work with them to finally launch the proposal to the market. This is our commitment.
When you say that you are open to all ideas, you say as well you are open to the sharing economy vision of the energy, in which everybody can produce the energy, can sell, can, you know. Are you open to this vision of the sharing economy?
We are giving you our data. We are giving you all information.
And
no matter if you are an employee of our competitors, no
Okay.
matter if you are an employee of, I don't know, a Thailandese electric company, no matter who you are, completely open. Everyone, all of you can receive the same information, very open, strictly open. And we are willing to receive all your proposal and listen to you.
Thank you.
Okay, yes? I'm going to ask Juan. Well, we're going to say thank you to Juan, but he's going to stay with us. So thank you, Juan. Sit down because you're coming back up again, okay? Thank you. The good news is, as I was saying,
Nice to
as I was saying, Juan is staying with us to talk about open innovation in industry. And you may think, what the hell is open innovation? Are they ready? Are you ready there, big companies? Well, in order to provide a better definition for open innovation, we have invited the director, are you ready? The director of development at Fundación Incide, and a fantastical panel that will carry on an in-depth analysis into open innovation. Please, Aurelio Jiménez.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this very interesting panel. As you all know, innovation is becoming a key strategic driver for organizations. However, what we see is that most of our organizations are struggling to understand what innovation is, what is stopping them from being innovative, and how could they move forward into innovation. Taking a look into the current trends in innovation and also where those innovations will take us is interesting and also challenging for all of us. To talk about that, we have today with us Maren Cantonar from MIT. Please, Karen. Where's Karen? Maren? Hey, the floor is yours.
I think we were looking for the clicker.
Do you have the...
No, that's what we were looking
wait.
for.
Whoop. Yep.
All right, I'm putting a timer on, too.
Now. Okay.
Gracias.
Welcome.
So I never thought I'd be talking in the same forum where bulls fight, but that is pretty exciting. I flew in from Boston this morning, and I'm excited to be in Madrid, so thank you. And I'm even more... Oh, he's forwarding. I'm even more excited to be talking about open innovation because it is a driver for innovation all across industry, academia, and small businesses. So if I can figure out... So I just came from MIT, and we had our own conference this week called Solve. And what they were trying to do was an academic version of open innovation. And what this academic version of open innovation was bringing together thought leaders from all different disciplines, investors, philanthropic folks, academics, technologists, all to think about solving some of the world's problems. And so they focused on 4 pillars. One in energy with fuel, one in healthcare with cure, one in hardware and advanced manufacturing and make, and to look at the whole process of education. And so it was really interesting that that conference dovetailed with this one because it was a different way of looking at open innovation from a solving perspective at the scientific and academic level, and then talking about how industry does open innovation. So as we saw already, I thought for a while open innovation was actually a buzzword. I came from an aerospace and defense company that's one of the Fortune 100 aerospace and defense companies. And about a decade ago, I remember working on charts for my boss on open innovation. He was the CTO. And I thought about, well, this term isn't going away, and it's because it's essential. It's essential for people in today's day and age to think openly because they can't do it alone. And so why can't they do it alone? And this is a chart that looks kind of ominous, but small businesses, large businesses, everyone around faces a lot of the same challenges. You have challenges with finding a talented workforce with science, engineering, technology, and math. You have challenges with cybersecurity, and it affects everyone. And what we also find is that it's too much of a difficult challenge for one organization and one company to go in it alone. And we've also seen shifts in how large corporations handle their research and development to looking at this more open model. So what we've found is that there's a strategic need to actually look at how governments, industry, and academia all play together to make this a more robust open innovation model. And I put on some of the charts this kind of systems of systems on the right, upper right-hand side to highlight the fact that you have to think like a systems engineer to move forward in today's society, I think, in terms of a business. And so we're really focusing on how industry, academia, and government play together, because government sets the policies and is a driver for supporting innovation. In addition, industry plays a role in the fact that you want small businesses to operate strongly with large businesses, or for the small businesses to flourish. And then academia is going to be a source for a lot of the technology coming forward in today's day and age. So what are some of the strategic alternatives? I spent a couple years working in mergers and acquisitions, and to pick which technologies you wanted to target, you had to think about, well, what do you want to do with that technology once you find it? And so the alternatives are to buy a company, to invest in the company. In no particular order do I have these listed. To license a technology. Having come from the defense sector, we cared about licensing technology for a specific field of use. And the firms could still do what they wanted in a commercial setting. To do a joint venture, meaning that you're going to go in on an activity together. To enhance a relationship by working together on different programs. To subcontract as a large player to a small industry. And to collaborate in a number of different ways. And so these, I consider them the more traditional mechanisms, and they're still what is necessary. And open innovation can be defined in many ways. This is more of a, I'll call it US-centric chart, but I think that there's a lot of applicability globally in the sense that as a big company, you care about what can you innovate internally, and what ideas are you missing? Because I was an engineer, I don't consider myself one anymore. But when you graduate from school with an engineering degree, you think you can save the world, and you come up with all of these great ideas. And as you start to work in a big company, you're focused on doing one or two particular tasks. And so industry overall can look at how can we reinvigorate the employees to think creatively again. Another one is to look at universities, and MIT is constantly called feeding technology to industry, to spin-outs for licensing opportunities. And then to look at how government plays a role. In the US, there are a lot of government laboratories and research centers, as there are across Europe, that really act as a pillar for many drivers in technology. And then to really think about how you can strategically play with small businesses to develop those discriminating technologies and capabilities that will bring you forward. So this was really interesting to me because when you think about it, it's not the traditional world anymore. And big industries aren't ruling everyone's turf. Small companies, or companies that I'll call non-traditional, are entering the markets in very unique ways. We had a forum on how do you bring the internet to all of the people in the world. This was part of the SOLVE initiative. And we had a speaker from Facebook talking about the fact that they have developed an unmanned aerial vehicle, a UAV, that's exclusively focused with solar power as its energy source to stay on platform, on course at 60,000 feet. And what do they want to do with it? They want to beam down communications. And you think, Facebook. I just friended someone on Facebook, and now they're building UAVs, and they're building different communication systems. So you have these non-traditional players going after the traditional spaces with new and creative ideas. And then we have small businesses that are able to enter into markets that we didn't traditionally think were possible, which is actually a good thing because I think it fuels more fire. And the reason why I have the term usurp in there is that for a period of time, the large companies saw this as a tremendous threat. And so they see it as these other players taking market share away from them. And I think that there's an opportunity for this greater collaboration. And so you ask, why are small businesses able to do this? It's because they're focused on one niche, typically. They're able to be disruptive in the technology, but then a defense term is actually called ilities, right? So it's trainability, maintainability, cost, or whatever, reliability, affordability. And it's thinking about all these things that the small businesses are able to do a better job in some cases than the larger companies. And really what it comes down to is the fact that they're more agile. They're not afraid to fail. They're out there. They're taking risk. Anyone who's an entrepreneur in this audience is taking a risk. You could have gone to work for a large company, but you're going and you're proving to the world that you can take something to market and do a great job of it. And then in addition to that, it's the culture, right? You become a family in some ways when you're in an entrepreneurial company. And so with the larger companies, there are challenges that are faced in working with small businesses. And I think it's important for the small businesses to fundamentally understand what some of these challenges are. And there is this, I experienced it a lot when I was working on radar technology, is this, we tried it 30 years ago, it didn't work, and it's not invented here, it can't work. And the fact of the matter is that mentality has to go. And so the not-invented here aspect of thinking in large firms is not the way to go. Then you have to think about the legal interactions. How do you protect your intellectual property as a small business? How do you protect your interests when you're working with a large company? There are corporate obligations. You know, as a small business, you can look to the long term. Large businesses do look to the long term, but they also, many of them are publicly traded and have to report to their shareholders. So there's a lot of processes, too, that slow things down. And so that's going back to the agility of a small business. And if we can find better ways to marry the two, then I think we have a really interesting story for success. So shifting gears a little bit and talking about ecosystem, this is one of those systems of systems charts. MIT is based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and up the river is Harvard, and across the river is one of the best hospitals in the world. And many of the Fortune 100 and 500 companies have set up research and development shops in the area. And we have people who are investors and serial entrepreneurs. And what you find is that when you look to stand up something, the ability to do it in a robust ecosystem, I think helps to have you flourish a bit. And one of the key things is to understanding the timeline technology takes. Startups and small businesses say, I've invented this widget. Look, it works. Well, it also needs to be ruggedized. It needs to be thoroughly tested. It needs to be proven that it's safe and secure for someone to use. And those extra development costs aren't something that a small business thinks of. And so the key is to really understanding the flow of how technology has evolved and what it requires to make it a success. And one of the key things is to understand that it usually takes longer than you think. But in looking at that at the same time is looking at the academic setting and portending that to industry and small business. We have an open culture where people are willing to talk to one another. There's this view of taking risks. We're looking for technologies that are application-oriented. We are entrepreneurial, and we set clear rules. And this is important when small businesses and industry collaborate and talk with one another, that they establish clear rules on what they have in expectations in getting out from the new relationship. Is it money? Is it working collaboratively on developing a technology? Is it finding a new source of input for your technology? And I think that's very important to always set the standards up front. And MIT has this robust ecosystem of, I'll call it a tornado of spinning out new companies and new technologies. And many of them are Fortune 100, well, one on there is a Fortune 100 company now. But what you find is that it's in all different disciplines. And sometimes you have to think about the fact that in open innovation, you may not, as a large company, want to target your traditional small companies. So you may target areas that maybe wouldn't make the most sense to you initially, but have a solution that would really help in a number of different business areas. So just to give an example of how industry, this is kind of a traditional model, works with academia and then also works with small businesses. Within my center, I am responsible for funding technologies in the laboratories of MIT, helping them over the course of 1 to 3 years to reduce the technology and market risk to spin out companies. And so one project that we funded was a little bit like science fiction. It was a professor who came to us and said, I have this great idea for energy storage, and it's going to be with molten metals going back and forth, and you can make it to grid scale. Everyone thought he was crazy, but we said, let's place a quick bet on him, $50,000. See what you can prove. He proved that it works, that it was feasible. And then from that point forward, the technology got additional monies out of MIT for its energy initiative. And then it got funding from the Department of Energy because it had a really well-established proof of concept. So why am I bringing this up for an open innovation discussion? It's the fact that Total, the French energy company, they said, this is really, really interesting. We don't care about this aspect, but we would love to license this technology if it matures for the field of use in a different area. And so Total invested in the technology while it was in MIT. It furthered itself along so far that it decided that they needed to spin out a company. And then Total became an investor, the Gates Foundation became an investor, and now they're at the point where they're very close to actually producing their first project. And this is several $1 million later, several years longer than they had intended, but it's a model that works in terms of getting to know the technology fast and early, investing in them or investing in the people, and then following it through. And I think that this will prove out to be a very interesting project overall. This is a little bit of a different spin. This is one of our more recent spin-out companies called Julia Computing. I think it's really cool. These are some fantastically brilliant mathematicians that have designed a new programming language. And this programming language actually can do things much faster. And you talk about big data. This is highly applicable to big data. And what we're looking at is this technology that's software-based. They've created this new language. It's adopting new players and new entrants, and they're keeping it open. So it's an open source code. So anyone who's interested in software can look at this. The big companies can look at Julia and say, hey, can I use this to do big data analytics on my electric grid technology? And the answer is yes. And it's a very interesting model in the sense that it reduces the time to development. And so what they're trying to say is that with this new programming language, it's so agile, it's so adept, that they can actually work on traditional, I'll call it iron materials, the big machinery, and also work on your smartphone towards this Internet of Things. And I think this is just another good example of one of the spin-outs that's relatively early stage, but it's a different form of open innovation in the sense that they have opened their kind of source so that everyone can use it and adopt it. And that's a different model for open innovation that I wouldn't call it as the best way to monetize, similar to the previous one, but it's something to get technology out into the market. So since I have 31 seconds, the key takeaways are companies cannot be complacent. The world is dynamic. It's changing. There's a tremendous amount of challenges and threats out there. The systems of systems approach to thinking is essential, that you can't go in it alone. You have to think about your ecosystem. You have to think about the partners that you want to work with, and you have to think about the overall market. Leverage all types of models for open innovation that you can think of, because I will tell you, your competitors will be doing that if you're not. And then focus on the people, because that's the most critical element. And as a small business, find your niche. So, gracias.
Yeah, thank you, Maren, for these super interesting insights into innovation. Please keep here with us for the panel. I want to invite now to join us for the panel the following people. We have from, well, in fact, Juan Garrigosa, you already know him from Endesa, Alberto López Oleaga from Ferrovial, Borja Breña from Telefónica Open Future, and we also have with us a couple of real innovators, Ricardo Rand from Kineo Mobility Analytics and Agustin Tena from Synapticon. I would like to start asking you, the corporations, about how you are focusing innovation today. Because people used to think, when we talk about innovation, people used to think about service or products, but there are other very different ways of innovation within the company. I would like to ask you where your companies are focusing innovation today. Maybe we can start in order for this question.
All right. For us, innovation is a methodology, first of all, that starts from the challenge to the projects, and from the projects to the value. And it's important, first of all, to know what are your challenges. Focus on them, work on them, not only with open innovation, but also using the internal capabilities of the company. Fully agree with your final conclusions. People are the key. Internal employees, external teams, companies. We at Endesa are taking advantage of all the employees' ideas with our internal ideas campaigns that we call ADOS Market, and also with our open innovation community, with different partnerships with big suppliers, with main universities, and also with entrepreneurs that are key for us. They are very fast, they are flexible, and they are always with the very last technologies. So we can develop with them different products and services that could take a lot of time if we do this with some other large companies.
Well, in our case, I am head of innovation in Ferrovial. You know, in few words, that Ferrovial is we call it a global infrastructure management company, and we deliver highly complex projects or services. For doing that, innovation is a key enabler. What we do is to align the innovation process with the strategy process and the HR process as well, as long as people and culture are critical for innovation, for innovating. And of course, what we try to identify is the challenges and the priorities of the different businesses. We review these challenges and priorities every 6 months, and by doing that, we identify projects, we identify partners, and we deliver solutions for solving the challenges. This is, in few words, the model we have.
Okay, and maybe Borja for...
Thank you, Aurelio. So my name is Borja Ureña, and I work for Telefónica Open Future, which is the Department of Open Innovation in Telefónica. And for us in Telefónica, all the innovation has to be aligned with all the strategic objectives. So first and foremost is obviously helping the client, and then helping the people that make Telefónica. So we have innovation not only for products and services, but also for the processes inside. Telefónica, for example, right now we have rolled out a HR software process. We also obviously invest in infrastructure, technology, so things that people don't see, but obviously it's at the backhaul of all the products that we give out. And just to give you a quick example of another innovation that is transparent to the client, but is helping them. We had about 2-3 years ago, 30,000 software applications that were legacy from like decades ago, and now we're trying to bring them down to 2,000. So everything is streamlined and everything works better.
Thank you very much. Just to finish this first round of questions where you introduce what you are doing, I would like to ask you, our innovators here, the guys that are disrupting everything on the stage, Ricardo and also Agustin. First of all, I would like you to introduce to the audience what your company does, and I also include the first question for you is one of the first challenges or the biggest challenges most of the companies, the startups face when they start is selling to big companies. What's your experience about that?
Okay, so can you hear me well?
Yeah? Maybe our colleagues can turn up. Can you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. No?
Okay.
Guys, speak now.
Hello?
No.
Yeah, it's okay now.
It's okay.
Okay, so my name is Ricardo Herranz.
No, it's not.
No?
I think it's not working, maybe. Well, then I will jump I will jump to Agustin. Meanwhile, you solve it?
Yeah. Hello, do you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay. My company, Synapticon, is established in Stuttgart, Germany, and we are changing the way things are built up. We came out with this system-on-chip architecture, which is super modular and flexible, and we build up cyber-physical systems. So quickly and dirty, you want to build up a robot, and we put together all the pieces of software and pieces of hardware, which is like Arduino, but way more sophisticated. And in 1 week, you can have the electronics of your robot running, and your prototype is done. So we are shortening the time to market for industry and, yeah, other fields, but industry also.
And what about the experience of working for industries
at
the beginnings?
Regarding that, I think when you really start to build up relations with industries, when things start to get harsh and tough, and when you really start to get the feeling of doing something important. And you know, the only way, the fact is, if you want to get contracts with industry, you need to deliver faster than the competitors, cheaper, and things need to work at least as good as the others. So that sounds maybe easy, but it's not. And yeah, that's the challenge. And when people get on their nerves and things start to stress out, and maybe some people start quitting, and you start hearing screams and yells on the headquarters. But yeah, that's how it is, I think.
Thank you. Now it works.
Okay.
Now your
I think
mic.
it works now.
Okay, great.
Okay. So my name is Ricardo Arranz. I used to be an engineer, but not a very good one, so I became an entrepreneur. I am co-founder of a technology company called Nomon, which we created 3 years ago, developing simulation and decision support systems.
Can you speak a bit louder?
Yeah, simulation decision support systems, mainly for the transportation sector. And more recently, beginning of this year, we launched a second company called Kineo Mobility Analytics, which is somehow the reason why I'm here today. What we do at Kineo is pretty simple. I think the name is it's pretty self-explanatory. In a way, we do data analytics about human mobility. What we do is collecting and analyzing anonymized geolocation data from mobile devices. Maybe we get mainly this data through private contracts with mobile network operators. In the case of Spain, we have a partnership with Orange, for example. We are now negotiating partnerships with other operators in other countries. And what we do is mining this information, analyzing this information, blending it with other data sources, and reconstructing people's activity and mobility patterns, which is an information that is then translated into some actionable insights for companies like Ferrovial operating transport infrastructures, for travel agencies, for whoever is interested in information about activity and mobility of the population. So there's a different range of applications. An example application is, for example, monitoring what happens at an event like this, where people are coming from, where people are going after the event, how they are impacting the transportation system in the city. So this is what we do. Regarding the second question, we have somehow a pretty simple and, let's say, compelling value proposition, because the kind of information we are offering is something that was traditionally collected mainly through surveys, which is something expensive, which is something time-consuming. You get partial information. You don't get the information updated with the frequency you would like to get. So it was pretty easy for us to build, as I say, a value proposition for big corporations, big companies like Ferrovial, or for public administration, which are another market segment for us. But the challenge, I think, is to get started these first projects. Even if the value proposition is clear, this has changed the way things have been done in the industry for decades. So it's more about changing processes, and I think in this sense, the kind of pilot projects we are now running with companies like Ferrovial, Cintra in this case, is very useful to learn, let's say, to develop some mutual learning, and not only validate the technology, but also learn how to integrate this new data into, let's say, decision-making processes for a transportation company, for a travel agency. So I think that the challenge is not the development of the project itself, which is rather easy. It's what you need to do before, where with big companies where procurement processes are slow, where you need approval from many departments, to launch pilot projects which should be relatively agile, which are reduced in scope, and so I think the challenge is getting things started, I think.
Start again.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your introductions to your companies and how you are involved into open innovation. But I would like to ask you now, because open innovation as lean startup or customer discovery and all that kind of things are beautiful words, easy to say, not so easy to implement. So I will ask you, and also you, Maren, from your experience, what are for you the pros, but even more important, the cons of this model of innovation? Feel free to answer or even to discuss. I just want to open the talk. I don't know.
I can go last.
I will. Guys, could you left the mics open? Yep.
So I think one of the cons actually is the fact that you hire people to do certain jobs, and if you promote too much innovation internally, it's now counter to what I said before, but it actually takes away some of the focus from what their actual objective is for why you're employing them. So you have to internally think about how you would structure an opportunity for innovation internally that isn't, I think, a traditional model. So that's a challenge that I think corporations see.
For me, a con could be to enrich the proposal with different point of view. Sometimes if you were on your ecosystem...
Can you hear him in the
Can
back?
you hear us?
No? Maybe you can speak a bit louder.
One? Yes?
Yes, yeah, I think now it's better. Yeah, thank you.
Well, what I was saying is one of the cons is to work against of that. No? It's if we involucrate a startup, for instance, in our internal processes, would be very, very bad for the startup, because we at the large companies have very strictly processes. We have to take decision, different people. We cannot involucrate the startup in this process, because if not, we are going to stop them. So we have to take advantage of the main advantages that they are proposing, the flexibility. They are very, very fast, very adaptive, very fresh. So we can not involucrate in them with our internal processes. It's like if we have to take a couple of barbells completely independent and only mix with some specific employees to take ideas from them, also to enrich the final proposal with the best of the two worlds. So we have to take the best of each of them.
Well, from my point of view, we see more pros than cons, no? in this open innovation approach that we have. I would say that we are using in Ferrovial in working in an open world, because at the end what you are building highway, or you are managing an airport, or you are providing urban services, you are in an open world. You are in the middle of many players, agents, subcontractors, etc. And your role is to manage all of them. Then I think that our innovation approach is just to move in the culture that we already have. No? I would say more than cons, that is from my point of view, is critical to be in an open world, in an open innovation scheme, very selective, and not losing the focus. And try to look the best universities, technology centers, startups, according to that fit with the way of doing things, that fit with your challenges, and that complement your internal capabilities. No, this is key.
Well, actually, I hadn't heard about open innovation when I created my company, but it seems to me from what I've heard today that we've been doing more or less open innovation for the past 3 years. It was in the very beginning, or we had it from the very beginning, this idea of collaborating with the different agents of the value chain. I mean, we're a small company, we're 8 people now, and we don't have internally all the capabilities to develop the kind of sophisticated projects we are developing with companies like Ferrovial. So it has always been, since we created the company, in our spirit, this idea of collaborating with high-class universities, research centers on the one hand, and also involving end users, on the other hand, also from the very beginning of the development process. So I see, as the other speakers, I see more pros than cons. If I have to mention one con, it's probably the different perspectives between big corporations and startups regarding timescales, regarding how much you can wait to launch a project, how much bureaucratic processes you can deal with, and also, of course, but I think that's part of the game, the asymmetry in the relationship with big corporations. But that's something we have to deal with. But that's something that is always there in this kind of open innovation schemes, of course. So it's not everything is great.
Good, thank you. So, obviously I agree with all my fellow panelists, and being part of the department in Telefonica that fosters open innovation, we obviously think that there are more pros than cons. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So the first pro is that, no matter how many intelligent people there are in a company, imagine like 140,000 people in Telefonica, very good engineers and professionals. There are 7 billion people out there, so obviously by statistics, there are tons of good ideas outside. So hey, open up, get some good ideas to the inside. This is a not invented here syndrome, so obviously you need to beat it right away. So the second thing is the fact that people in big corporations, you cannot fail. I mean, you guys need to understand. I mean, you usually complain that the processes within big corporations are cumbersome, they're long, but you cannot fail. You have a brand which is very reputable. So basically, you cannot make, if you fail twice, you can send your company down to bankruptcy. So you're the guys who can fail. You guys are like showing up and sprouting, and you're the guys doing innovation. But we also do innovation inside. Don't forget this. I mean, we also innovate inside big corporations. The issue is that to bring the innovation to the market, we need to be very, very sure. So the good thing of innovating outside and bring things in is that, yeah, people can fail, but the way we bring it in, you need to make sure that it's not going to damage, tarnish the brand. And then the third thing that I would like to point out is it's not a con, but it's a reality. You're dealing with people. I mean, we're talking about big words like open innovation or whatever. This is all words. At the end of the day, we're talking to people. No matter what the director of innovation in Telefonica, Endesa, Ferrovial say, at the end of the day, there's a manager who has to sell, who has to get his KPIs to get his bonus, okay? So basically, and if he actually makes an issue or makes a mistake, if he gets something right, his director will get the reward. And if he makes a mistake, he's sacked. So basically, we need to understand that we're dealing with people, okay? So this is the only con of this kind of way of innovating.
Well, yeah, I also, do you hear me? Do you hear me? Hello? Yeah. I also agree. I think there is nothing wrong about innovation, but it is true that it might sound that we are on the age of innovation. I slightly disagree with that. People is afraid. Many people have nightmares with the crisis. Where I come from in Germany, the industry has really strong fundamentals, and people, I think Borja got the point. They are afraid of losing the company. They cannot fail. They are really afraid to fail. And doing innovation becomes really hard sometimes. Really hard. I mean, for example, just to give an example, in the aerospatial industry, they're using the chips from the 90s. So imagine how hard it can become to innovate in this field, no? in this industrial field. So that's the only drawback that I see. That is really hard, but that's it.
But don't get me wrong. I mean, this is, can you hear me, guys? Yeah, okay, so don't get me wrong. This is the way to go. I mean, open innovation is basically nature. It's to have silos within a company, to have like a close, not to have any sharing of information. That's the old, previous centuries, the Industrial Revolution way of doing things. I got my patent, I cannot share with anybody. It's going to be mine. To be honest, the world is not that way. Nature works like tons of little, cells have different mutations, and then some of them fail, some of them progress, and those that progress actually bring the innovation to the rest of the ecosystem. So you definitely need to do it. I mean, this is the way forward.
Okay, thank you.
You have bring on the table one very interesting aspect, Borja, when you talked before about talent. You say we are doing open innovation because talent is outside, which is completely true. You will never have the best talent for everything within your company because you get what you have at a certain point, at a certain time, and in a certain place. But and yeah, the startups are the innovators. But how long can you take this flag of being innovator within a startup? How do you keep in being innovator? How do you keep attracting talent or managing talent and being different because you are innovator?
Yeah. Well, first, I'm not necessarily sure that all startups are innovators, but modestly we think we are, of course. And that's, I cannot answer the question, I think, because we have a short trajectory, so we've been there for a short time. And so far we've done pretty well, I think, in attracting...
Have you thought about it?
In attracting talent. But I can share some thoughts about it, yes. I think this is pretty much about creating, I mean, this is pretty obvious what I'm going to say. It's about creating a place where people want to work, which is intellectually stimulating, which offers a nice environment to work. And this is, I think you can do this at two levels. You can do this at a more formal level through your quality system, processes, procedures, fostering interaction between your strategic planning, your research and development department, your business areas. But also, and above all, you do that, I think, at a more informal level by creating, let's say, a company culture. And my feeling is that this is very much determined by what you do during the first months of life of your company. I think company culture is highly path dependent. It really depends on what you do during the first year of the company. It strongly depends on the first 2, 3, 4 people you hire. So I think you have to put a lot of effort on that. And then, of course, it's about keeping, as I said, it's about keeping an environment which is intellectually stimulating for people and investing, I think, a considerable amount of effort in selecting good people. I don't think there is a big secret in that.
I have a last question. Maybe you, Juan or Alberto, maybe both can ask me this question. Is corporate venturing is going to boom in Spain and it's already becoming a reality? Do you think the companies are ready for that? Maybe Borja has answered it in some way before about this question. But are your companies ready? Are your board members ready for that kind of ventures?
Okay. Well, in Ferrovial, we have analyzed that. I mean, we think corporate venture is an important tool for developing your innovation ecosystem. But having said that, I have to say that we don't have a corporate venturing. We decided not to have that, in the sense that of a traditional corporate venturing, if you want. I mean, we don't invest in equity in the startups. But what we have developed is an approach for startups that we put on the table challenges for them. We collaborate with them. We provide business expertise, and with this very important, we think we provide challenges and infrastructures where we can be able to develop the solutions, to test the solutions, etc. And I think that in a startup, of course, money is critical, but probably is much more critical to test the solutions at an early stage. And by doing that with a big company that has real challenges, real problems, we think would be very useful for them. No? This is what we are trying to do with Kineo. We make agreements with around 20 startups per year. No? And Kineo is one example, but there are many, and this is what we offer today. It's not a traditional corporate venturing. We are still thinking about the advantages of doing that, but already we are working in this scheme.
But some money is useful.
No, of course.
Yes. Maybe Juan, do you want to add something?
In our case, we have some lesson learned because we didn't run. We didn't run. Yeah, we didn't run because we come into the capital of some startups, and we didn't run because at the end we gave them the worst of our work, the worst of our procedures. We are very big. I mean, large corporations are designed to offer services to millions of customers. So we can fail, of course, but very fast. So everything is very well. We have strong procedures, very fixed everything. So when we come into the capital of some startups, we translate the worst of these procedures. Also, I mean, some operative things like consolidating the financial statement of the group. That is something a nightmare for the startup. Also, the startup that could be 2 or 5 or 10 guys suddenly became a large corporation because a large stakeholder owns more than 30%. So now these startups cannot get public funds or cannot apply for subsidies. So it's like if we were giving them the worst of our work. So we have learned a lot. No? For instance, Telefónica has a subsidiary company with different rules. So maybe this is the way. New rules with more quickly, more fast, more simple, check decisions, the consolidation of the financial statement. So at the end, open innovation is about to fail, of course, but it's about to learn about the best of the other. It's about teamwork, working together with other companies. So these are part of the lesson learned that we take from our experience.
Good. Well, I think the question was about whether we were ready in Spain to do corporate venture capital. And in my opinion, people in the industry, people in big corporates know that the way forward needs to be, innovate, whether openly or internally. But I don't think that they're ready to accept the things that they have to forego before accepting the real way of innovating. So actually, in the venture capital world, the venture capitalists mock a little bit the corporate venture capital because they say it's not real. And they obviously, they're not, it's partly true. So they have 2 reasons to say that. Number one, corporate venture capital hasn't produced any big unicorn that people know. There's no Airbnb or Dropbox. Because when you invest in a company which is small, you basically acquire it, all right? And you turn it into a business line. So when it gets to the consumer, it's part of a Microsoft, it's part of Telefonica. So they don't, people out there don't know that this actually came from a venture capital activity, all right? So this is something, in favor of CVC, or corporate venture capital. On the other hand, they were right when they said that it's not real, because the people leading the decisions of corporate venture capital are mostly directors, and they take decisions politically. No, they don't take decisions like based on the features that they really need for the products or in the KPIs. So at the end of the day, do you think that in Spain, a big director is having lots of power, is going to he's going to stop himself from saying, oh, I want to invest in that company? No, they don't. Here in Spain and many other countries in Europe, which is different to the UK and England or the US, they actually say, I like this company for whatever reason. My mates told me the director of this competitor has invested in that one. I mean, decisions are not taken in a way that the venture capital really does, okay? And the second thing, once the decision is made, it really goes down to the people. In venture capital, you have to give a little bit of money, and then if it doesn't work, you're just out. If it works, give you more money. In the big corporations, it's all about, power that you have today in this budget for 2016, right? So you need to hoard as much money as you want, as you can get. And then you say, oh, I've got this project, I'm going to invest 10 million. Actually, it doesn't need 10 million. You just need 50 grand for the next 6 months. And then next year, another 100,000. But then today, you're doing your budget for next year. So the way the budgeting is done in corporations is completely the opposite to what the venture capital method is. So this is the second problem that corporations have. So directors not keeping themselves from orientating the decisions, basically imposing their micromanaging decisions. And the second is just the internal way of corporations, how corporations work.
Okay. A lot to learn still from I know. A lot to learn still for the corporations about venture capital. Thank you very much. I guess you all have questions, but I have been told, yeah, can we have questions? No? Yes? No? Okay, one question, right? Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of intrigued. I was thinking that the panel was being a bit unfair on corporate VC, and I have to admit we've got a slight vested interest because we track corporate VC, but the sort of, there's a number of examples of unicorns that have been backed by corporate VC, so LinkedIn, Palantir, I'm sure Telefonica's got some in its own portfolio kind of thing. So I was just sort of thinking there could be a bit more nuance, that corporates aren't quite as dumb as they were in the venture world. So is there a sort of 1990s thinking, and actually some corporates are figuring out how to do it right?
Sorry, I actually understand the question.
Okay, what I was wondering is do you think that the corporates, I know you were saying just now that the corporate VCs have, I guess, worked to a corporate agenda and that kind of thing. Do you think that there are corporates that are actually doing VC well, or do you think it's
of course.
generally? Yeah.
Of course, there are corporates doing VC well. We are doing it well. We're Telefonica. I'm in the Department of Venture Capital within a corporate. I'm a CVC guy. I'm telling you from the inside perspective how things are doing well, but people can't see, but then other things we do not as well. Yeah. So basically, I'm being like honest.
I think real quickly you should also look at Cisco as an example. So there are many companies that have grown to be large companies because of numerous acquisitions, and that all stemmed from doing some corporate venturing work early on. So there are unicorns, they're just not as pronounced.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thank
there's
you.
more questions. There's more questions, but there's no more time. So Aurelio is going to close. And anyone who wants to ask the panelists afterwards, behind, backstage or side stage, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks to you guys.
No, it's okay.
Well, thank everybody. Thank you. And don't go, because we have a fantastic panel starting right now, as soon as we get rid of the previous ones. Nowadays, however, well-established companies are realizing that investing in startups is drastically increasing their revenues. As a result, we can appreciate a surge in corporate venture capital funds. So, the question is, where is corporate venturing heading towards? Well, you're lucky because with us today, we have Francesc Fajula, who studied in Harvard Business School, Stanford University, and ESE Business School, although he didn't want me to say so, and has a tremendous experience in corporate companies such as Banco Sabadell, Banesto, and Terra Networks. He's now the Director of Innovation at Banco Sabadell, and him and his panel will try to provide answers to this question. Please, let's welcome them on stage. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Good evening to everyone. And we are delighted that we have such a tremendous panelist here. If you want, we can start introducing yourselves and introducing the companies and corporate venture funds that you are leading in each case. Okay, starting for you, Eva.
Sure.
Or Eva.
It's okay. Hi, my name is Eva. I represent 3M Company New Ventures, which is a corporate venture fund of 3M Company, Minnesota-based, US, material science, medical devices, enterprise software company. I myself am based in Munich, and I'm responsible for the European investments. In the background, while we're going to be having our panel discussion, you're going to see some slides out of a study that I just completed around 3 weeks ago as part of the Kaufman Fellowship Program. Kaufman Fellows is a venture capital education out of Palo Alto. And basically, my study, I asked entrepreneurs that have been backed by corporate VC funds how their experience has been. And around 100 people answered the study, so it's a representative enough sample to give a good picture of where corporate venturing is heading.
Hello, everyone.
Gonzalo.
My name is Gonzalo Martinez de Azagra. I am head of Samsung Ventures in Israel. Samsung Ventures is a corporate VC. We have been in existence since 1999. We have invested in over 600 companies with a 1.7 billion fund. We invest in all kinds of startups in any stages. Any startup that can add value to the Samsung group through a strategic collaboration would be happy to take a look. If there are any startups in the audience, please feel free to reach out to me later. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tony Moreno. I'm the head of corporate development and M&A of Mediaset España, television broadcaster, and also the head of Ad4 Ventures, which is our venture capital arm that we developed with the intention of developing media for equity deals. We've been working, recently realizing the idea that we need to get more of this venture capital mentality in a sector like ours, because the future of television can be seen as uncertain. So we are also investing in some other projects, not necessarily structured as a corporate venture fund, but more like introducing more venture capital mentality for investment in strategic investments. With introducing the acceptance to failure, which in corporations is not something that we were used to.
Okay. Hi, my name is José de Hoyos. I'm the global director of Telefónica Open Future. Telefónica Open Future is the platform that Telefónica uses to coordinate and all its open innovation activities and venture capital investments. We currently have $500 million of investment power, out of which 60% comes from Telefónica. We have different vehicles through which we do these investments, starting from seed investments that are wider, going through American funds. Then we have Telefonica Venture Capital, and finally we have a new investment vehicle that is called CIP. Okay. Vale. So that's basically it. That's it. I don't know. Do you want me to repeat?
Okay, we have some background noise, so you know, if you can speak
okay.
louder,
Yeah, to speak louder. Okay.
It's gonna make it easier for everyone.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susanna Chiu. I'm the head of Amadeus Ventures. Amadeus Ventures is the funding program of Amadeus IT Group, which is a travel technology company based in here, Spain. Amadeus Ventures, we invest in startups in the travel industry. So if you are like at the crossroad of technology and travel, we will be quite interested in talking to you.
That's great. Thank you so much to everyone. Just to start with some data, from 2010 to 2014, over 475 new corporate venture funds were created. And currently operational, we can count around 1,100 now around the world. So it's clearly a sector which is growing. First question I would transmit to the panel would be why corporations are using these corporate venture funds, and which are the main reasons behind all this movement. I mean, it's a strategic movement. It's more like I want to be more innovative. It's like only a financial return issue behind that. So
I'd be happy to start. I think there's good and bad reasons. The bad reasons is because entrepreneurship and venture capital has become more popular and cooler, and everybody's asking, what is this? So I do think there are excess of corporate venture capitals in the world today. That's the bad reason. The good reason is that it complements other efforts to innovate, like internal R&D, like collaborating with universities. So it's part of the open innovation trend, which with the acceleration of technological development is a requirement in the market. So that's the good reason.
I could add to that, saying that it's a matter of when you're building up a strategic plan, historically you could think of where I want to be in 3 years' time, and I'm going to invest in that direction. I mean, the point we are suffering these days is that we have little visibility on what the world will look like in our sectors in 3 years' time, in the sense that I cannot invest in everything, and if I invest a big amount of money in a certain company, it could be that in 3 years' time this company is useless, in the sense that it's better to diversify, invest in many different things with this venture capital mentality that at least 2 of them will work out and compensate the effort on the other 10 that actually failed. So that is, in the end, it's a change of mentality because of the lack of visibility that we may have about the future.
Talking about Telefonica, R&D is critical for the house. I mean, we spend like 7 billion euros per year. So it's like we are like the 3rd telco globally in terms of R&D. But what is obvious is that you cannot rely only on internal development. And Telefonica has realized that that's not enough. And for that reason, he has started this program of opening, of coordinating activities to open innovation and including venture capital investments. And this is a way to combine what you do in-house, you listen to what's happening outside the house, with where disruption is happening on a daily basis. And so you need to listen to the new companies, to the investees, for the different vehicles that you have, and then you can act wisely and make decisions, have optionality, make strategic movements. It's at the end of the day, it's a matter of having strategic options.
For Amadeus, it's like the venture fund that we are running, we have listed financial returns as one of our objectives. So because we want to be aligned with the companies that we invest in. So at the end, they are very motivated by like rewarded of their hard work. So we want to be aligned. But at the end, innovation is the main objective for us to run the corporate venture fund. Like it helps us to keep in touch with the external world. Like myself and my team, like we talk to almost 100 companies every quarter, so to be like aware of what are the new ideas out there in travel. So travel is something that people are very passionate about. There are a lot of frequent flyers who are like expertise in a certain technology, and they have ideas of how to apply their expertise to improve travel. So, so it's always interesting to listen to like ideas coming from people not already in the industry, and to get insight from that.
Yeah, I think I can only add to that. I recently read Exponential Organizations that I recommend to everybody. And there's an example there of how Nokia at the end of the 90s invested $8 billion into infrastructure to basically sensor infrastructure to find out where people are moving. And a couple of years back, it was sold to Microsoft for around the same amount. At the same time, Waze, a company out of Israel, within months managed to basically cover a much wider population than Nokia's network, and was sold to Google for a good return. And I think that example just shows exactly the nature of the idea behind corporate venturing, that these companies, small companies, are just so agile sometimes, and they can grow so much faster than corporations. Corporations tend to grow linearly, while these small companies can actually grow exponentially. And that's the idea, I think, behind most of the corporate venture organizations, to kind of get access to these exponentially growing startups.
Since I understand that for everyone, the main reason to set up corporate venture fund is bringing innovation inside the parent company. How do you do that? How do you manage to bring all this innovation from the startup that you are taking a piece of it into the parent company? Is that a collaboration effort? Do you need to buy 100% of the company at the end? So it's an M&A question, and there is not a rule to do that. But in your experience, how do you manage to bring that innovation from the startup world into the parent company?
In our case, in Telefonica, it's a matter of hard job. I mean, you need to push the OBs, the businesses. You need to have a dedicated team to promote and share and showcase the different products and services that the investees have. And it's a matter of knocking different doors, because at the end, a big multinational, you know how it works, that at the end of the day, each person is taking care of its day-to-day businesses and the P&L, and to meet the quarterly requirements. So it takes time, but in our case, the key thing is to have a dedicated team, pushing and pushing and pushing.
Absolutely. So on my side, the Amadeus Ventures is still relatively new. We've been having the program for more or less 2 years. So now we have 6 companies in the portfolio, and our biggest objective is to bring the learnings into the organization. And how can we do that? First is about communication. We just talk a lot within the organization. So first, people need to be aware of what we have invested in, and what are the lessons, and what do we learn, what do we would want to learn from these companies. Just by talking and communicating is the first step of creating the awareness around the topic that we want people to be aware of. And the second one is about portfolio management. So we are, for each one of the companies that we invest in, so on the first week, maybe not the first week, we would start to talk about a formal collaboration program. How do we see them fit into the Amadeus world? So can we introduce them directly to our customers? So can we introduce them into our solution as a pilot? So to try to develop a very systematic plan in terms of like step by step, how can we do things together?
I think it depends on the company culture a lot as well. So if you look at companies like Apple, they don't traditionally invest, they only acquire. And part of that has to do with their need to control every part of the process. So if you look at others like Cisco, Broadcom, when they were independent, they would acquire. Samsung Ventures does many more investments than acquisitions. And part of that has to do with the culture and how easy or difficult it is to integrate after an acquisition. When we do investments, what comes with the investment is a commercial agreement, a licensing agreement, or a co-marketing agreement, some sort of agreement with the company that very clearly is going to add value, or ideally intends to add value to the business unit directly. We rarely invest only for the sake of investing. We call that risk hedging. You know, if we see a particular industry we're not in and we want to learn, maybe we'll do an investment where we're not ready to work with that company. But usually what we do is we invest, and in parallel we start trying to sign some sort of agreement to do a joint product or license the technology, so that immediately we see the fruit of the collaboration and investment.
In our case, when we invest, the idea is more to have the ability to control it at a certain stage once that the business is working properly. The thing is that in the early stages, you may find the issue that we don't have the internal talent and the internal attitude to develop a certain business in a certain area that we are interested in. And it's good to build it up with a couple of entrepreneurs and say, build this up, we'll give you financial support, we give you independence so that you can think the way you have to think and not necessarily in the way a corporation would normally think. So that in the end they concentrate on developing the business and not on processes and protocols. It's more about having the ability to build up something that makes sense with the intention of staying and then taking control of it. Because in the end, if we see that it makes sense strategically, we want to be there. On the contrary, on the other side, we also have this Media for Equity fund where it's more financial approach. We invest because we want the financial return. But on the other hand, in the meantime, for us, it's very interesting in terms of marketing understanding and seeing how is actually television impacting on the startups, working together with them and trying to gain as much as we can from this collaboration, even though at the end there is more a financial exit. Or it could be that we actually open us the door to diversify in the future our business, because in the end it could be that the future of television is e-commerce and not necessarily television. It's kind of opening up doors and having the possibilities in the future to actually either go that direction or go to another.
So from your point of view, do you see this corporate venture movement more like a response, a question of a way of reaction to the disruptive innovation that is coming to most of the sectors that we are working in, more than in a evolutive or incremental innovation? Is that right?
Personally, what I think is that these startups, whereas in the past, maybe you required to do real innovation, you required resources and tools that were not accessible by small companies. Now with the internet, with access to very powerful tools, there's been a democratization of innovation, and so it helps to have people thinking differently. So absolutely, I think it's a reaction of seeing more innovation occurring outside, and we have to be part of it.
I actually think that for adjacent and kind of, mostly for adjacent businesses, equity investment into startup is a good tool, because you can basically have a look into some new area or have a look at a new way of working that's challenging your own corporation. But if you want to do something absolutely disruptive, like let's see BMW wants to disrupt its internal combustion engine, you're probably not going to invest in a startup. I think actually in that situation you need to most likely behave like Apple and acquire the entire company, because it's going too much into the core of your own know-how. So what we found at 3M is that when it's incremental or somehow adjacent, it's actually working perfectly with minority investments. If it's going too much into our core and it's really disrupting our own business, it actually quite often makes more sense to just buy a company totally or innovate internally.
In our case, it's a bit of a defensive move in the sense that we don't know where we will be and the way television will look like in the future. So in the sense that we need to be ready for whatever is coming. So that's why we also want to be ready for it. And for that, we need to invest. And we need to have an eye on how things will be. So it's not that we are actually looking for big disruption or re-innovate everything in a way that we are reinventing ourselves to grow. We are, to some extent, worried about how to defend ourselves in case that we really need to, in case that the industry is changing.
In our case, we want to become like the leading digital telco in the world. So for this purpose and for bringing the best product and services that a telco client is looking for, we realized that going only through R&D is not enough. So this open innovation approach, this venture capital approach, is part of the solution. I mean, we wish to have the crystal ball to say what is, the key. If only one activity is going to get you like the best result, but at the end it's not. So it's a matter of having different options and doing trial and error. And that's basically it.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, maybe just a very last comment. On an article that I read about Airbnb. So it was the story about Airbnb in its early days. Went out to ask for VC monies, and like tens of VCs turned down their request. And so it's not easy to say that who's going to be the successful disruptor and who's not going to be. And I think, as a corporate venture fund, we meet the objective of keeping the pulse in the industry. Just getting to know what is going on is already very important. Whether we actually make the investment or not, so we may make the right or wrong decision, but I think that external interface and getting to know what is going on is already part of the objective achieved.
Well, thank you. We are running out of time, but I would like to ask you a final question. Just, have you, from the corporate venture fund, have you ever funded an entrepreneurship initiative inside your company, or are you always investing in entrepreneurs?
In our case, in Telefonica, I think it's well known the external entrepreneurial activity that we have through WIDA. But what is less known is that, for instance, in Telefonica R&D unit, they have been launching and implementing this entrepreneurial platform or program from year 2011. And the result of this is that we have selected and detected like 300 ideas coming from our staff that end up building new products and services for Telefonica. And we have invested like 50 million euros in developing these new ideas, products and services, and it's making revenues already. So it's something that is making results. And this is just happening with a unit that has 1,000 employees. So just imagine if we were able to implement this throughout Telefonica's worldwide staff, that is 150,000. So these things are starting to be implemented, but I mean, we need to keep pushing.
So at 3M, we don't do that because it's not our mandate. Our mandate is to invest in external companies. But 3M is actually the company that started with the 15% of your time opportunity. So anybody at 3M, and especially the technical staff, has the right to take 15% of his or her time and spend it on his or her own projects. And that's actually how Post-it Note was invented. It was a 15% of time project. So that's kind of our internal way of supporting internal entrepreneurs. And then we also have a couple of people in the headquarters that help out with that, actually to build that into an idea or a company. But it's a separate role to our own corporate venturing activities.
Samsung Ventures doesn't invest directly in internal projects, but Samsung as a whole, if you look at the history in our, the group are almost close to 400 billion. Many of the profitable businesses today were started from scratch, from zero. So that culture of investing very heavily internally is something we do very often.
Exactly.
From our side, there is not a real plan for that, but at least we listen. I mean, there's sometimes people coming up with ideas. Okay, so those ideas are listened, but it's not that there is a real plan for the structure in that way.
That's right. Thank you so much. So I think there is time, 5 minutes, for final questions from the audience. First, I saw the lady. Oh, okay. Second. Do you mind?
Okay, now, okay, sorry. Okay, thank you for the panel. I'm running an accelerator and I'm accelerating startups. And one of the traditional questions that they are used to have is, should I go with a corporate venture fund, or should I go through a traditional financial VC, right? This is a recurring question. So I would like to get some feedback from you guys, because when you are competing at the end of the day with the traditional VCs, what are the things that you think are good and the things that are bad for the startups to take a decision? The easy question probably is because we provide an extremely good access to the corporation, but as Jose pointed out, it's not always good, it's not always easy to do this. And the bad side probably is that you have different strategies, the different alignment that the traditional VC that is really focusing the ROI. So I would like to get your points about that. Thank you.
Anyone?
I can speak from Telefónica's view and Wayra in specific. You know, Wayra is a fully owned accelerator part of Telefónica, and our value proposition to the startups is obviously the money is there. We just put like 50,000 euros or in each company, but what is really valuable is all the networking, the business development work that the startups can get out of us. So as I mentioned before, we have a team that is its main duty is to showcase the startups among the operating businesses, trying to foster commercial engagement, trying to use the products and services internally, and even helping with pilots, helping developing the product. So I think that the upside is there, is available. I mean, it's obviously I'm biased because I'm part of Wayra and Telefónica, but also one concern that maybe entrepreneurs may have is, hey, look, perhaps the shareholders agreement is going to be like, or the business rights is very aggressive with me. It's going to hurt my future, and that's the other way around. I mean, it's the business rights that we have are super light. I mean, almost have no business rights. So the approach we are having there is really good, great value for the startups.
I think you need to manage your expectation, right? So when I did the study on 100 entrepreneurs that have accepted CVC funding, it was quite interesting because 50% of them responded that the reason they accepted CVC was because they wanted to find a customer. And then I asked them, you know, what was the result of your corporation? And they said only around 20% said or below that it was a customer in the end, and 70% was technical development. So I think a lot of corporates actually can help out very much in technical development. That's what the techie teams are very keen on. I think commercialization, market access, and so on, it's a bit more tricky. So you need to kind of figure out what are you going for with the corporate and find the one that actually can deliver that. You know, 3M is extremely tech heavy. It's a bit more challenging to give you access to market. Only in certain situations that is possible. So you have to think about that a lot.
I'd just like to add a note. If I were to recommend to a startup what to do, I would say to go for both. One of the problems, I think the values or the virtues of corporate venture are easy to see. If you work with a Samsung or a big corporation and you happen to do business with them, it could be in the millions very quickly. But on the downside, because big organizations have a lot of politics, for example, if they invest in one round, you may have a change in the structure, and in the follow-on round, you might not, the corporate venture might not be in a position to invest. So it's always good to have a safety net of a good financial VC, and then have the strategic VC to try to deliver that value. And then another note is, you have to see the corporate VC, especially with big organizations, as a bullet train. If you go and try to stop it while it's running, it'll destroy you. You have to get on it on the stations. What does it mean? If you're aligned with them and your business is aligned with what they're doing, go with their timing and you'll be successful. But if you try to accommodate yourself to their strategy or the other way around, I think it'll be a failure.
Yeah, completely agree. Sorry, do you want to? So maybe just to complement on the previous answer, that my sales pitch to the startups is that what corporate venture brings is money, customer network, and industry knowledge. But then we don't necessarily write you the biggest check. So it's always good to combine like the asset of a corporate venture fund with financial VCs.
Great. I don't know if we ran out of time finally, or we have time for another question. Oh.
Sorry. Yeah,
there's
a couple of questions, but I believe
the lady in front of us.
But I believe Gonzalo Antoni had to go at 6, so either you go and we keep with the questions, you stay with us.
If it's a couple of questions, we can.
Okay.
A couple of questions.
There's a lady there that
was.
She was first.
I think she was first. Same question.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna pass the microphone there.
Okay, great.
All VCs and accelerators tell me how amazing their network is. What would be the unique thing about your particular networks, and how do you suggest I judge the networks of each of the investors?
Does anyone want to answer that?
I think the best way is, hello? Yeah. I think the best way for you is to check and talk to previous startups from previous cohorts that have engaged with corporate accelerators and see the pros and cons, and see if the spirit of each particular corporate accelerator fits with your requirements or the way you see a business relationship. So I think there is no simple or easy answer for that. But I recommend you to speak to the startups that previously passed through all these different programs.
As a B2B company, like it's probably as a B2B company, it's probably an easier, question for me to answer. Looking at like the network of Amadeus, we are present in almost 200 countries. We have offices around the world. We work with major players in the travel industry, whether they are the airlines, they're the hotels, they're the travel agencies. So we already have that customer network, and so you can judge what is the quality of our network.
Yeah, I think still the main reason you go for a corporate VC is for the network of the corporate that invests in you. Then you can have other networks, obviously, but it's usual that there's at least half of the stuff in a corporate VC unit comes from the corporation. So you hope that they have a buy-in at C-level or that VP level that's going to help your product. Otherwise, I mean, that's really the main reason you go for a CVC.
Okay, I think we arrived to the end of the panel. Thanks so much to all the panelists, and thanks to the audience. Thank you so much.
¿Has visto? ¿Eh? Alena, ¿la has visto? No. No, no te preocupes.
Muchas gracias.
No pondremos el link.
Hello, hello. Don't go anyone, because we're going to start in a minute our last panel of the day. Last but not least. So bear with us, please. We're just going to swap microphones. Thank you. I'm going to ask the people on the stage to clear up, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Ellos contigo. Okay, lovely audience. We're going to start in a minute. Please take a seat. Come to the front. It's our last panel. We're all friends by now. Don't be shy. Come to the front. There's plenty of empty seats. We have a lot of important people coming in. I need the backstage clear up. Thank you. ¿Están? Okay, we're ready, everybody? This is your last chance of the day to listen to a fantastic panel of interesting people. And we're going to talk about rethinking infrastructures. Upon thinking on the interaction between startups and corporates, one would instinctively think of the smaller and more nimble one having to adapt to the bigger and more reliable one's procedure, because that is the way the industry works. Or it had worked. What happens, silence in the backstage, thank you very much. What happens is the question when the smaller and more nimble one changes the way the industry works. Okay, to discuss this, we have with us the director of High Potential Business Area at PwC. He has, although he looks like a boy, over 14 years of experience in digital transformation processes, electronic commerce, technology procurement, software, privacy and content, advising large companies, institutions, public administrations, and companies with high potential in these areas. Please welcome Alberto Tornero and his lovely last panel of the day. Thank you very much.
And the last one. Esto vamos en algún orden. Hello. Okay. It's open. This is for me.
Smallest pen ever. It's like 4 people.
Okay.
So we are all. So we're going at 6 o'clock and all they have is water.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know if, can you hear me? No?
That's good. I can't hear you either.
Yeah, I think they can,
Wow.
they can hear
No,
me.
I think not working. Oh yeah, now it's working, I think.
Okay, no, I think it's working, my microphone?
No, yours not.
No.
No.
Whether you're Spanish or not, we're in Spain. Please show us that you have fire inside. So speak loudly. You have a lot to say. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know if I have, even you can hear me, because I can speak now, okay? Okay, first of all, thank you very much. I think we were talking about this. You may be heroes, being here at 6 o'clock. The last panel, we hope we have a very, very big responsibility to try to keep you here until we finish. So, my name is Alberto Tornero. I'm leading the high growth potential company areas in PwC. And today we're trying to talk about redefining infrastructures. Infrastructures, we hope that our goals are 2 mainly. 1, talk about innovation in this kind, the companies that we have this fantastic panel. And the other one is how big corporates and startups could work together. And the lessons you may learn, or we have been learned, or the panel have learned about this kind of a strange relationship. So we are trying to do it very fluid, very, very fast. I have this fantastic panel. You have each 1 minute just to say who are you, where you work, and what do you do. So I guess I have to start. I don't know if anyone is listening to me, okay? Well, my name is Jordi Scrella. I work for Correos, responsible on innovation. What can I explain about me? Well, I think you can find it in Google. If you look for my name, I think you can read about my past, my future, my present. Yes. And also, if you look for the worst English speech ever done, I think you will find my speech last year here in South Summit. I'm competing against someone about having a relaxing cup of coffee in Plaza Mayor. So, okay. Well, and now I'm rethinking we are rethinking infrastructure in Correos. This is me. It's been okay in time.
I think so.
Oh yeah, we have
Carlos. Hello, I'm Carlos Gross from Sacyr Group. I work in the part of the company Valoriza Environmental Services, Servicios Medioambientales. I'm the international business manager for that part of the Sacyr group, specialist in services, waste treatment, waste management, and now in innovation. You can also find me in LinkedIn and the internet. Also, my debut is here as a bullfighter in Las Ventas today.
Okay, nice. Do you hear me? Yeah? Okay. My name is Eric Aaron Lara. I'm the CEO of Tecnadis. We are a nanotechnology company based here in Spain. And we are now growing a lot. I think that we are the only startup here because all of them, they are huge companies, Ferrovial, General Electric, Sacyr, etc. So I think that will be very interesting to give to you my opinion about how is our relationship with the big companies as a startup. Okay? But well, I have to say that by the moment, it's very, very, very good.
Okay.
Right. So, hi guys. My name is Tim. Thanks for bringing me out to this wonderful weather here in Spain. I'm German. I have 2 kids, and I work at an infrastructure company. We do all kinds of stuff like aircraft engines and reciprocating engines, all this very complicated technology. So we produce about 25% of the world's energy. And we have a plane lifting off the ground every 2 seconds that has one of our engines.
And my job there is to change the company, really. So I'm the jester at the company. I usually survive saying the truth, like at the King's Court. And it's very, very interesting. I get taught by my kids a lot. I got 2 of them. And I love my job. So thanks for having me.
Okay. Federico from Ferrovial, pleased to be here. Pleasure. My role in the company, which is infrastructure company, we have 4 business lines. I'm in charge of IT, so I support every business process with IT. And I'm also in charge of innovation, which is critical for a company trying to be different. And my role there is to enable all employees to be innovative within the company, and we are very focused also in startups. This is the reason we are here.
Okay, thank you very much for being in time. That is it is not the most important, but it's important. Okay, we will start with the same question for the whole panel. Try to explain, short, but explain one of the first questions that we think that could be interested. Big corporates in infrastructures, industrial companies, and startups working or trying to work together or managing or dealing. Does it really make sense? We can start with Federico. Okay. Does it really make sense? We are in a very small, so we can be honest.
No, I'm not always
okay.
Always.
Nobody's listening, right?
Yes, sure, of course. For us, yes. You know, we have a methodology for innovation, which is open innovation. This is the main statement. And in this open innovation concept, there are many stakeholders around that we are interested in order to improve the innovation within the company. One of the stakeholders are startups. And why we look for startups? I think that these kind of companies can bring us disruptive innovation, which is sometimes difficult to obtain that for internal employees or other companies. And we are interested in startups not to invest in them, just to use them in our assets in order to gain efficiency and to gain more business for Ferrovial. So we look for startups concerning infrastructure business, and we test them in our infrastructure, in real environment, and after that, if of course there is success with implementation, we buy the technology and we use the startup. Okay, this is what we do.
Okay. Tim?
Do you want me to go next? Okay, so I think when you look at startups and corporates, the first thing you want to look at is what do they have in common, and what we all have in common is that we live in a hyper-volatile world, right? Everything constantly changes. Now, the other thing we should have in common is that extreme focus on creating value and outcomes for our customers. And this is where these 2 organizations are very different to each other, because we have size and assets and expertise and reach and all of that. Startups have agility, right? Now, there is no right or wrong answer, because if I ask you, do you prefer fish or meat, and you're a vegetarian, that doesn't make sense, right? So I think the solution is to get these 2 organizations work together and learn from each other, because only together we can grow and make a difference on the planet.
It's my turn. I completely agree with you. The difference with, for example, if I have to say something about our company, we are very active. We can take decisions very fast. Our board, you know, it's a small board. We work very close with the technological part of our company, with the corporate part of our company. We can take, I don't know, a flight and go to everywhere in any moment to move our businesses, to implement our technology, you know, to give access to many, many companies to the nanotechnology. That is something that is really new for them. They heard a lot of things about nanotechnology, but, well, the truly things are starting right now, you know. So yeah, we have a very good place in the market, I have to say. And we are a very good complement to big companies.
Okay. Carlos?
Also, you will hear many times the word open innovation. With the big corporates, we now use this is one of the fashion words. But for us, it's real true. We use many these fashion words to explain, but Sacyr also, it has that on mind. I mean, we are, as a corporate, many times we're like a big elephant with many times not doing the same things, but you know, trying to keep your business, trying to working hard also. I mean, in Sacyr's activities, there's a lot of competitors, a lot of competition. So, of course, we have something we usually say, we have the innovation on the DNA. But sometimes we work in the same way, and we are quite slow, things don't happen so quick. And with the relation with the startups, we learned that things can go, you know, they say they are agile, they're so really passionate. They push. Sometimes the big corporates, we need somebody to push, to make things go on, to make things go faster. You know, it's quite difficult to get to the big board and our corporates to get the decisions. But it's something that makes sense. Of course, it makes sense.
Okay. Well, and continuing with the same arguments, we are a big public company. I mean, so if we are a big public elephant, so if we are talking about going slow, and this is the problem that we have to fight. No? I don't know if you remember that commercial about Durex in 2012, where there was a disc player that one goes to 45 RPM and the other one to 33, and then both has to read the same rhythm. So this is what's happening when a big corporation and when a startup meet each other. So startup is so excited, it has so much passion, and we are so slow to give them response that sometimes we doesn't reach the same goal. No? So this is the problem that we have to focus. No? We are working with some startups. We are learning how to don't do the elephant that just cries the small one. But I think it's a learning process, and I'll also agree that it makes a lot of sense. But I think you are in another big corporation.
Not so big.
Well, I mean, you have a big building. No, at least you.
Yes. Well, we don't have it. We are there.
And if you talk worldwide, I think it's you know, it's very big.
Yes.
So you are in the same case, and you are doing the same.
Yes. For us, it has been very difficult. Mm-hmm. Because we try to do, because you have a very innovation area, because you have, for a company like us, the innovation on services, it is not so open. So, and maybe we will talk about that later. They are not very confident with some kind of very big corporate. So, well, we think it makes sense, but you have to find exactly what is in which area you are going to give value to the company, being the animal you are. Mm-hmm. What it is, I think, is absolutely, it doesn't make sense, is to think that if you are a big corporate, you have an approach just to be a big corporate with the startups. For example, our approach is absolutely different than your approach. We don't use them for innovation. We use them for transform our people, but we look and are very old. So so it makes sense, but if you want not to have very dead bodies in your suitcase, I think you have to look exactly what animal you are and what will help. I know, but you asked me, and okay, let me.
I think it's interesting because everybody seems to enjoy talking about elephants. And I went to Africa with my kids 2 years ago to learn a little bit more about elephants. So the one thing I learned is how do you eat an elephant? Does anyone know? Anyone know how to eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time, right? Because obviously it's too big to eat it. But you don't want to be eaten, right? This is what is happening. Talk to the guys at Hilton or the guys at Sheraton and ask them how they feel about Airbnb. Right? They are being eaten. So the way I want to think about it is, how do you teach an elephant how to dance? right? Now the problem is there is no dancing classes for elephants, not even on YouTube. I checked, right? There's no dancing classes for elephants. So the way you teach them is like one dance at a time, right? And you try, you fail, you learn from that, and then you try again, and you keep that going. So I agree, right? It's like one step at a time, but there is always commonalities and principles, I think, that we need to keep in mind that are universal and that apply to everybody who is in this ecosystem.
Absolutely. Federico, who is going to leave us
Yeah.
because he has another
Yeah.
appointment. Thank you very much because...
No, I can say something.
I know.
Please go ahead.
I just only saying because...
I'm not an expert in elephants, but I can say something about innovation. And what is key for me, and you mentioned that, is that what we do with innovation and with startups is that we define very clearly the business challenges. Once you have defined the business challenges, you look for a startup to commit with these business challenges. And for us, you know, we have many infrastructures all around the world. But what we have are users using that. I mean, around 300 million users using the infrastructure. So there's a tremendous opportunity to connect with these users and to connect the infrastructure with the users. And imagine every technology you can use there in order to gain efficiency to the infrastructure and to give a better service, to know the opinion of the people who are using the infrastructure. And this is what we try to do, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Elephants.
Who doesn't like elephants?
Not me, not me.
We have... Okay, thank you very much, Federico. Just to go, do you want to go to say something about that? We go forward? Okay. Just for Sathir, for example, because you are a very infrastructure company.
You can say whatever you want.
In what kind of fields or some examples you could give us just where or how startups are helping you and how do you manage, you know what I mean? Just some examples in really now we work with this kind of startups. Could you give us some or the fields you are working with them?
Well, we are quite new in the startups relationship. Our experience is quite short dealing directly with the startups. Our best experience is right now going on with after we had an innovation contest in Sathir, and the 5th edition was based on startups, and we having a good relation with a company that is making an app. It's called EPC Tracker. That's what the winner of the innovation contest, and it's quite a good relation, and we're learning a lot. But we don't have we have a relation with entrepreneurs and many companies, but with a startup like you know, like the definition we use now, the only experience is currently running. I invite everybody tomorrow morning at 9. My colleague Diego Rocha will explain exactly this experience with EPC Tracker. The speech is directly about the experience of Sathir and the startup. I invite everybody. It's going to be detailed and everything. What I can say is our experience at the moment, it's really, we're really enjoying the passion they put on things, and you know, all they're showing also many things in agility, and we had many innovation and many programs in the company. But we haven't dealt directly with the companies to develop a product.
It's a new challenge you are facing now,
yes.
And you're it's okay. Okay, from the other side, what is not to be a big corporate? What is your experience? Because you have a nanotechnology corporate working with many. How is your experience working with big corporates?
What we see is that big companies, they used to work with big companies too. So it's a little bit difficult to build a bridge of real communication sometimes with them. because sometimes they see the small companies as just small companies, you know. So usually it takes a lot of time to move them, to show them what we can do, and finally they have a lot of interest, really a lot of interest, and the things start to move a little bit faster. But usually big companies, they don't know how to build that bridge, and usually small companies happens the same in the other side, you know. Well, in our company we have some elephants in our board, so that is something that is helping us a lot, okay, because we can be a little bit closer with the big companies, but usually it's not on the way, okay? But even with an elephant in our board, communication is a little bit slow. But
and the decisions, maybe.
Well, decisions, it's just, it's something worse. But well, we are very happy because when they visit our facilities, when they visit our factory, when they see everything that we did during the last 10 years, you know, developing our technology, then they start to change the way of thinking about, not just about us, and about another startups.
That is a very important point. Tim, you want to say something?
I wanted to hook in on this really quickly, because I think when you talk about having an elephant on your board, it's a good sign, because what both organizations lack is empathy, right? They do not understand each other. Now, the cool thing is they both have something that the other one wants, right? So this is like, what, 6:30. Normally, I'm German. Normally, I'm on beer by now, and we're all dancing on the tables. You've seen it on TV. So we got to have a little bit of fun here. Anyone have a guess what the big corporates have that the startups want? Anyone? Well, a fat balance sheet, okay? A lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of customers. Now, here's the trick question. There is something that the startups have that is free of charge and impossible to get for a corporate. Any ideas?
Possible to get.
So it's impossible to get, and there is no cost to it. But empathy would enable you to do that. It's the mindset, right? Because the mindset gets in the way. If you would have the empathy, you could understand the mindset. If you could change the mindset, you could wipe the startups away. This is the advantage the startups have, because if corporate would figure that out, it'd be very tricky. This is not what I say. I met a guy who works at Deutsche Bahn, who's like the German rail operator, who I had the opportunity to speak to, and he told me that, right? Once I managed to get past the guy who guards the entrance because I was dressed up like this, and it's very difficult to get to the top floor. But this is the one thing that sticks in my head. How do I change the mindset in the corporate world? And also, and I love the fact you have this elephant on the board, because you're understanding that startups have something to learn too. Yeah. It's not just the corporates. Both have to learn, right? Very, very important.
Sorry, just one thing also make clear. Sometimes the big corporates have the expertise and the experience in the people that they have daily work. You know, that's one of the biggest problems in my point of view, that the big corporates have their experts are very busy with their own service, their own projects, their own things. So the involvement of we want the best people to help the startups because we believe in them. So sometimes it's really difficult to involve those people, to get them to give them enough time to get together, to you know, share the time and get the ideas, get things running.
I have two challenges for you. One is for me is because I'm not so sure about that. And the second is that you are going to explain how to innovate in a public administration. So let me go for the first one. Let me go the first challenge. I think the most difficult thing is to put in common, again the same word, so different animals. We said, no, we want entrepreneur people within our companies. Entrepreneur people has a lot of responsibility, a lot of free, and a lot of reward. So are we able in our companies to have a lot of freedom, a lot of reward, and a lot of responsibility, and even more, how do we, because if they fail, if you have something very entrepreneur in your companies, if they fail, it's okay. Well, you will be here in the company. The point is, what happens if it have the goals? That is the first challenge I launch, but first or second, please explain. That is a very more specific challenge, what is how to innovate in a public administration.
Well, we are innovating since 2012. We start trying to rethink the company. And, well, it was a real big challenge because as a public body, I mean, for example, if we want to engage with a startup and we want to invest in the company, then we have to ask permission to the Consejo de Ministros. I don't know the translation. I mean, because the startup became a public company. So, and we are very good to generating attraction, to generate deal flow, but then our problem is how do we engage with the startup. Okay, we are sponsoring events like this. We are in some other innovation programs, entrepreneurs programs, and we are trying to find the way to invest on the entrepreneurs. But this is a learning process. I mean, it's not easy, and we have to be creative because we are in innovation. So we have some solutions thinking in public tenders. I mean, at the end, when you organize an innovation challenge, I mean, you launch a challenge, and then it's the same when you publish a tender, and all the startups just offer their services, and we can evaluate them. We believe that this is a way to invest in startups. I mean, I think it's a very creative way to do that, because this is the other problem. We do internal and external innovation. We do open innovation, and we do also internal. So we have intra-entrepreneurs projects in the company. I don't know if you have tried the Alimentos Auténticos, the fresh products from the producers, from the rural area. Those are startups also. So we are creating this platform. So, but then we have some other projects, and the big challenge that we have is, if we want to innovate and we want someone help us to innovate, we have to tell to the market what we are trying to do. I mean, so, and we have found some clauses in the contract law, so we can do some confidential innovation, but it's really tough, and it's not necessary to tell what's happened when government is changing. That is going to happen next December. I mean, but I think it's the same. I think any big corporation have problems, barriers to change this operational way of thinking, or this excellence orientation. I mean, everybody is afraid about changing the typical things that are doing daily way. I mean, and what we have to introduce is what you were saying, you know? Startups are risk-orientated, and we have to merge the excellence-oriented people from corporations and also the risk orientation. If we merge and we reach the same RPM like in the commercial, I think this is the solution, but we have to fight to find this.
It is really challenging, even because you change the big boss. Every 4 years, your big boss is changing. So I have a mandatory...
Can I hook into that?
Please, I have only a mandatory thing, because if someone has any question, because we have a lot of things to say, but I don't want to if it's okay, nobody has questions? You have? Okay. Tim, I will let you later after the question.
Sorry?
After the question, you can...
Yeah, sure, anytime. I'm here. I'm running low on water, but I'm good.
Yeah, we'll keep away the elephants.
Hello?
I'm not afraid of elephants.
Open innovation.
My question is to all of you. When was the last time you actually started working with a startup? And how long did it take from the time you decided it was a perfect fit for your firm to you started actually working with the startup?
Sorry,
I haven't heard very well.
I don't hear. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
but
when was the last time you started working with a startup? Okay? You
Okay.
started working with
Yeah, how
a
long,
startup.
how long
Yeah.
did we start?
And
Okay.
how long did it take till from the moment you decided it was a perfect fit for you till the moment you actually start working with the startup?
Okay.
So how long is the decision time you take? Thank you.
Who wants to
That's a
answer?
question to everybody, or-
Yes, we can ask her.
I can take it.
Okay.
So when was the last time we started working with a startup? Yesterday. Yeah, maybe it was today, right? Because we do this all over the place. And when was it a perfect fit? It's never a perfect fit, right? Because, you know, let me ask back. My mom said don't ask questions back, but, you know, what's the last time you started dating a girl? And when was it a perfect fit, right? Because this is how it works. You get together, you like each other, and then it's a relationship. There's ups and downs and sideways, right? The trick is not to get a new girl every 4 weeks, right? The trick is to work with that girl or that guy or whatever you're into, I don't care, elephants, right? Elephants. And make it work, but not make it work with a lot of force, but by creating value for the customer, because that is the true north for both organizations, right? This is, in my opinion, how you have to steer it, but I might be wrong, so I'm turning to my right.
Yeah. Let me say you something. For example, we are working with a steel company. Okay, we are a startup in a large steel company in Europe and United States, etc. We started to work with them, I think that in March, something like that. Okay, we don't have anything on the table. We're just working in the laboratory, trying many things, trying to adjust our products to them. Takes time, but sometimes let me tell you something about the startups, what I see. Because I come from the investment side. I used to manage investment companies, okay? And it's something that we try to implement from the first beginning in our company. We have to be very proud of us and our products, but we cannot be just blind, you know? Sometimes the guys who start a project, they are so proud of their product or everything, you know, they have passion in every single way of their product, and sometimes they cannot, they not see, or they are not prepared to listen a couple things that maybe they don't want to listen, okay? But it takes time. It's not mathematics, you know, it's not something that you can calculate, okay?
Can I comment just briefly? I just made up this thing with a girl, right? But I think it's really cool because what you just said, you know, if you have to be proud and if you have to talk and she has to listen, I mean, I've been married and I've been with my girl for like 18 years, so I haven't really picked up a girl lately. But if you're like really proud and she really needs to listen, I'm not sure how much you're scoring, right? And that might be part of the problem, just in my mind. But I need to work on that a little bit.
I think I will launch the question on the other side. How long are you going to be waiting until you start working with a big corporate? And think if you really want to work with a really big corporate. Because sometimes the worst thing you can do is to think that this contract with this big corporate will be fantastic for us. I've seen many companies that are still waiting after 1 year. So you have to know it. Just know it. But don't think that big corporates does not exist. People working in big corporates is what exists. So if you don't know the schedule and the objectives of the people in the big corporate, you're wasting your time. So that is a little bit long question. So does anybody has any other question? Any other? No, it's okay. So, well, we have 1 minute for conclusions. So it is very, very easy. A kind of a line. How do you think your companies, or what is the main thing for the future that those companies are going to do with startups? What is the main objective you are going to look for working with the startups? Tim, we want to start?
I thought I'd get some thinking time for this, a complicated question. Okay, three-part answer, as usual. I think we need to think about what is really important as a company. As a company, I believe, I hope we believe as a company too, there is only two things that are really important, right? This is safety and compliance, right? Because as a corporate, we don't fuck around with those two, right? We build aircraft engines and ventilation machines, so we compromise on those, people die, it's not funny, okay? Second one is you have to be aware of your problem, right? It's like you want to quit smoking, you have to know it's not healthy. Now, for smoking, everybody's like, yeah, but that's stupid, everybody knows, right? Corporates are not that fast. And then the last one, which is like the killer application, is you need leadership. Because the chairman being aware is great, and it's like a necessity and it's a starting point, but then you need to break it down into the organization, and people need to lead through the change, understand risk, and really watch out for security and compliance as the underlying thing for everything you do. That's, I think, the three things I would recommend doing.
Okay, thank you very much. Eric?
I'm not another.
Okay. No, but no. It is tricky. It is tricky because I changed the question. So
we have the red light here, but
yes,
I'll try to be short.
We're the last electricity.
The pressure here. What we want to transmit here is that we are a big corporate, but we are really open. Maybe we can be slow, but we are really open. We didn't know how to really get the approach to the startups. So that's why we create that innovation contest in Sacyr. We will we'll go for many editions, hopefully. That was our first approach because it's open, everybody can try it, because we didn't know how to, what would you do? You knock on the door, you Google it, and you find the startups, run some activities or some issues that you have in mind. So I just wanted to transmit that we are really open. Okay. We are over the Corte Inglés Castellana.
Open.
Open doors. Come and with your proposals.
Okay.
We will see if somebody can meet you.
Okay. Beware. Maybe you will have a very long queue. Okay.
So in our case,
Jordi?
I mean, we are doing some collaborations with startups. We are developing drone deliveries for letters and some parcels in rural areas. We are doing augmented reality in industrial areas with a startup, measuring the air conditioning in Malaga with another startup and our postmans. But this is a kind of lean startup methodology. We are developing the market. We are trying to find the value proposition for the startups, because we believe that we can offer a big value for them, because, I mean, I think this year is the 300th anniversary for Correos. I mean, we've been 300 years connecting people.
300.
So, and at the end, we are a two-sided business platform as Apple and Google. I mean, you have to say that the users and the developers.
Okay.
So this is what we are trying to build, and we are trying to structure this.
Redefining.
We are redefining that, and just became a platform where, I mean, we are not investors, but we can offer services to develop startups and connecting people and moving things. Perfect. And this is our approach, and this is our project.
And Eric, you are not going to go out without answering. So I make you the
No.
opposite.
Yeah, I can say something.
So
Okay.
what are you looking for? What is their main objective working with big corporates?
What are we looking for? We were looking for, of course, the money that they have. Okay. Yeah.
Really?
Check your pockets.
They start always
Really?
to ask
It was not
about the money. Okay.
innovation, fun,
It's
no,
a
it
good
is
point,
money.
to start to talk about money. What they are the expectations and what we need.
Bad finish for the panel.
So the first thing, distribution channels, clients, international, go be global, truly global through his channels. But the opportunity is there. They need us. We are completely sure. And as a startup, we have just to be very careful in every single step. every single detail, because every single detail counts a lot for them. We have a phrase in our company, it says, think big, act nano. You know, nanotechnology.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, because I think, well, we are in the panel, but I think that, or we hope that it was fluid. There is only one thing to finish is all the people I see in big corporates working for startups has the same faith, what is they're having fun. So that is one of the things that is more important for us working in big corporates, what is it is really, really funny. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. I was just going to say that, thank you, everybody. We're going to have a family picture, and we have a party. Everyone is invited in the arena stage to join us from now, from 7 o'clock, for a party. So both investors, entrepreneurs, students, everybody, please join us. Enjoy. We'll back tomorrow, okay? There's more tomorrow, but you can come with a hangover. It's okay. It's the last day. Enjoy, and see you tomorrow then. Thank you. Tim, somebody gave me...